What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Season Gaming Bitcast. It's another Sunday, and we're coming at you about 12 minutes late due to some technical issues this morning, but it looks like everything is good now. We can firmly blame Dan for all of this, of course.
Yeah. This is the one time I was here on time, ready to go, and everything.
That's true.
Yeah. That is true. It's true. I joined. Dan was the first one in this morning. So
I was
good morning,
the first
everyone.
one in. Camera just wasn't working.
Yeah, so sorry for being late here for anyone watching live, but we're here. We're ready to talk. We've actually got a really big show today in terms of news. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of reviews, big games, big news, things to talk about. I'm excited about. So should be a real good one. I'm your host, Ainsley Bowden, as always, joined by my partners in crime, Mr. Danny Boy himself, Dan Rodriguez. What's happening, man?
The pipes are calling. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
You just going to serenade us for the show?
Yeah, everything I talk about from here on out will be sung in a very baritone.
Okay, all right, let's do it. All right,
I'm excited to be here. No, I'm good.
And Mr. Tie Guy Travis himself, what's happening, dude?
McClunky, how are you?
Good. I'm real good.
Dude.
I woke up this morning. I don't know about anyone else, but I woke up and I still felt exhausted because I was up late playing Forza again, and then I realized, like, I walked into my kitchen and the clock said it was 10. I woke up at 9, but it said it was 10 because I forgot about daylight savings, and I panicked and I was like, oh crap. Luckily, I still had an hour, but yeah, even with that extra hour of sleep, I'm still tired, but we're gonna make it work.
Yeah,
I was awake for the time switch. It didn't help me at all get more sleep. So.
Yeah, we were up. We decided to binge Ted Lasso.
I've heard it's great.
It's really good, and we got to, like, she's like, oh my gosh, it's like 1:15. I was like, is it 1:15 or is it 2:15? And it's actually one. I was like, I don't know where we're at. So it was just one of those things where I was like, God, we better go to bed. This is crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, so we've got a big show today. We've got obviously we're going to be talking about Forza Horizon 5. Now that it's mainly out in the wild, it's kind of wild actually that it's not actually fully released yet. It's still early access. But we'll talk about that. My review, and IGN's review. Funny enough, Travis can speak to a little bit. We can also talk about Elden Ring. We got gameplay this week, which looks phenomenal, and I can't wait to talk about it. We got new Halo Infinite details. Call of Duty Vanguard is out for whoever cares about that.
I honestly, so I realized that game was out like a day late, and I was just like, oh my God, I've heard nothing about this. And
no,
I know that's just my bubble. Like, I'm sure it has sold more copies than any game this year, but my bubble is just so like not Call of Duty. Apparently, I didn't even know the game was out.
Yeah, it does seem very quiet for a new Call of Duty game, but that could be mine as well. And also, we're going to be talking about Sega joining the strategic alliance with Microsoft and what that could mean, which is very interesting. So, lady said, so you're saying we should cancel Travis? You're getting canceled already.
Yeah, that's fast.
Yeah,
just for showing up.
Yeah. That's all you got to do right here.
Before we jump into what we've been playing, though, I do want to say a quick thank you for last week's episode. Halloween episode was a ton of fun. We got a bunch of donations, which was excellent. So after, the stupid Google tax and Apple tax from YouTube, we did donate $103 to Extra Life last week for the show as well. So thank you very much, everyone who showed up, hung out with us. That was a blast.
We also learned so much about Dan and about ourselves in the process.
It's really we like to get down and deep sometimes. That was better episode than
that was eye opening and eye sewing shut eternally at the same time.
I just need to come up with a game like every week at the very end of the show.
That was a great game. I'm a huge fan of games on podcasts, segments really, and that was a hit, I think.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, Dan. We used to do stuff like that with the guess the game and stuff, but now we can just do guess if Dan liked this.
Guess if Dan liked or hated the game, one every week.
But you're gonna have to somehow find a decent average mix of yes and no. You can't just pick your normal games because then it'll be 98% no and it'll be too easy.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
He did a good job. All those games were like I had no idea. I was just really, it was a shot in the dark. So.
All right. So what we've been playing. So I think Forza's on this list, but kind of save that for the bigger conversation we'll have after, because I want to talk about Forza with, and I'm trying to train myself to say Forza, even though I don't like saying Forza.
What do you say?
Forza, just because it's simpler.
Oh, really? I've never.
It's the Kansas pronunciation.
Yeah, that Forza. I can't even.
I've always called it
Southern
Forza,
accent.
but I guess you're right. There is no T. Yeah.
That's how it's pronounced, Forza.
Yeah, I've always pronounced it Forza, but I just
Oh.
I've never like reflected on why I do that. I think probably I heard it first. I think I heard somebody say like Forza, and I was like, oh, okay, it's Forza.
Yeah. Anyway, save that for the Game of the Year talk, because it is the highest rated game of the year now. But there's still a lot of people, it seems, that don't think it should be in the Game of the Year conversation. So I want to have that chat with you guys, along with all the other amazing games that have released this year. So with that in mind, who wants to talk about something good they've been playing? I see, Dan, you got Guardians of the Galaxy up there, which I'm hearing really good things about.
Yeah, I really was enjoying it, and then I hit a
you get that frame rate bug.
Yeah, oh man, it's whatever it is. I've uninstalled it and reinstalled it. I haven't actually gone back to try and see if that helped yet. It was just really, it sucked because you get used to these new consoles, and they're amazing to look at, and they've got these smooth frame rates, and it's like, where has this been all my life? And then the entire game, I had 0 hiccups, and chapter 10, chapter 11, I don't know what happened. I was in the middle of a fight, and everything just like stopped. It was like stop motion, and I was just like, man, this is crazy. And then it would kind of go away and then come back, go away and come back, and it was just kind of all over the place. I'm pretty sure I'm like on the last guy, like the big boss. So
something
just like,
something you might want to try. I know a lot of people who like have problems with games. Usually their go-to is to like hard reset their console. Like if you're on Xbox, that's like the go-to is you just like hold the button for a couple seconds or you unplug it. But the fact that quick resume exists now on certain games means that games could stay open even when you do that entire process, including if you hard reset your console.
It's very true.
So you have to go to quick resume and actually like clear that out before you do a reset, because sometimes that's the problem. Because I was doing that for a while. I was like, God, I'm resetting this game, and it not only is it not fixing the issue, it's not even closing the app when I unplug it. And then I was like, that's right, quick resume. Like it's a good and a bad, because it makes it, you have to go through more steps to like actually reset something. So I don't know if you tried that, but that's a super weird problem, because I had literally 0 technical issues playing that game, and no one I know has had any issues playing it either.
I know. That's what drives me crazy.
Yeah. Luke reviewed it for us. I've talked to a bunch of people playing it, and I was like, no one's heard of this.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what it is. And it was
problem.
All of a sudden. That was the problem. Like there was a couple times where like, you slide down these areas and you're kind of dodging and stuff. I mean, I just hit like 15 things on the way down because there was no way I could control it. But I mean, other than that, it's really good. I mean, it's not what I was expecting, even though I've seen a lot of people that were enjoying it. So it was,
maybe it's specifically a Dan problem. Have you checked for like bologna in the disk drive or something? A slice of bologna.
But you know what? I have bologna here, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I would check for something very weird.
Although you said disk drive, which Dan, I don't think he even knows what that is. To be fair.
Yeah, I don't really use it.
That's why I put my bologna in Series X though. That's why you put your bologna in it. It's your bologna storage center.
That's right. Exactly. It gets really warm. It smells delicious.
All right, we've taken a turn here.
Yeah. But other than Guardians, I actually reloaded and downloaded Breakpoint again to see what, because I've kind of gone back and forth on that game. I think I reviewed it for the site, and then and
gave it a 6.
Did I? Yeah, it's probably
Breakpoint.
Right. Ghost Recon.
Ghost Recon. So they have
the one that came after Wildlands and wasn't received very well.
That one.
No, they've almost it's almost No Man's Skied it, but not to that level. They've added so much stuff. They've given you your teammates back, which was a huge miss when they released it.
That was one of the games with like one of the big actors that was like the bad guy or something. Who's the actor?
John. What the hell is his name? The Punisher.
That guy. That's right.
Yeah, Ainsley's favorite guy. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
You guys got a weird face.
Yeah.
I have nothing against the guy.
John
the guy. He's just not Punisher.
Yeah. No,
Who's Punisher?
We don't know. Punisher? We need a good one.
He's a comic book character. You know that?
I'm waiting for a good Punisher.
Yeah, you didn't like Dolph? All right.
At least Dolph was big.
Yeah. Or gosh, who was it? Thomas Jane? Wasn't he the Punisher? God,
Yeah,
that was so bad.
Thomas Jane was good. I
Oh,
mean, the
no.
movie wasn't.
And
but
John
I thought he
Travolta was the villain.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
movie
the
wasn't
Kingpin.
good, but I thought Thomas Jane was a good Punisher.
I actually, I like from the movies, I like Warzone the best. That was me, but
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
That's like the worst one.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. The one
No.
with the bad guys, the Leatherface or whatever.
Because it basically followed the Warzone comic, which was just chaos.
Oh my god, that movie's awful though. It's like that's a nightmare of a
Come on.
movie. Oh my god.
But I'll give it credit. They've done a really good job. They put they just released new content for it, which is kind of like a conquest map where you go back to the island and there's everything separated into sections, new enemies. It's like a whole new game. You can go back and forth seamlessly with your characters and equipment through the story if you wanted to play it, or through the conquest mode, which is cool. They've tightened up a lot of the controls. It's what it should have been at release now, and it's actually really good. I mean, it plays really, really well. So I'm enjoying it for what it is. I'm not sure how long I'll stick to it with Forza downloading, so at least another 2 days until that thing gets finished. So
you waiting for the Game Pass release?
No. I have the early access. I've been busy the last 2 days, so I just haven't really been able to play a whole lot of stuff.
He can play Forza and he hasn't been.
You can play Forza and you were playing Breakpoint. What are we doing here?
Well, I mean, I haven't played a ton of it. I played like maybe an hour or two because, well, number one, I totally forgot to download it, and then I started downloading it today, and I didn't realize it was 107 gigs, and it's just taking forever. It said like 4 hours, so eventually today I'll play some Forza. But it seems like everybody's liking that game, so that's gonna be cool. Talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
Also Hitman 3.
Yeah, of course.
I'll throw that in every week.
Fat Boy said it's my first bad take about Punisher, I guess, but I'm glad it's my first bad take. So usually I'm hitting pretty strong.
Not your first bad take, man. That is not at all your first bad take.
Tom Holland is Punisher. Yeah, that'll be next. Yeah, I think he's probably taller than John Barenthal anyway.
That's insane. If that is true, that's insane.
I had to. I had to nominate Chris Pratt as Punisher.
If they make Chris Pratt Punisher, I would give up. I'd
never watch
a movie again. Yeah,
walking around.
Yeah. Travis, you play anything good, man?
No, everything I'm playing is awful. Next topic. I'm just kidding. I've been still catching up on my Game of the Year games, so I'm catching up on God, I can't even remember. It's kind of a flurry which ones I've actually been playing this week, but I've got a ton of like ones I'm still behind on that I'm trying to catch up and like actually finish before the end of the year. And then I finished Riders Republic Review, Ains. I think it was after you because I did like a completionist. I completed.
Yeah, you went nuts on it, which is awesome. Yeah,
I completed everything. And then I did a preview for IGN for a game that's coming out later this month called Farming Simulator 22. That's right, baby. That's right. You can check out my preview later this week. It'll be probably Tuesday or Wednesday or something like that. But that game. Needless to say, that game is like so complicated. I was basically playing it for like 3 days straight because it's a insanely in-depth game. And if you thought the other farming simulator games were complicated, this one makes those look like a casual experience. It is nuts the level this one has. I actually don't know how much I'm allowed to talk. I am under embargo, but my preview will be out later this week, and it is an IGN exclusive. We got that exclusive farming simulator scoop, everyone. So
the only access to the farm.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, sure, you got Halo Infinite on IGN first, but why watch those videos when you could hear me talk about farming simulator for like 6 months? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I played 19.
You're putting in that work. Putting in that
19 is a good game. I think this is a very ambitious game. They took 3 years off. 19 came out in 2018, so it'll have been like 3 full years in between.
Oh, I thought they released it every year.
They did, but they took a break. to work on next gen consoles and get ready for this one. So this game is like a huge leap forward from 19, just in terms of like the stuff it adds. They've got I don't even know if I can talk about what the stuff they added, but they've added some crazy stuff that I think people will be happy with. So
you can now sow your wheat at 60 FPS. It's going to be awesome.
Your tractor's in 4K. It's awesome.
Yeah, well, that is also true. It does look a lot better than 19.
Ray traced,
yeah.
Ray traced corn kernels, baby.
Oh man!
Every once in a while, when you work in games media, you get added to some game you never would have normally played, and it's either a super painful experience because you're just like, wow, this is like really tough, or if you're like me and you just like my goal is I try to find something I love in every game I play, even if it's a terrible game. I try to find like one thing that I really love, and sometimes you're surprised by the genres that you're like, wow, like I would play this. Like I could see myself in a different life if I just had more time, like really getting into this game and playing it a ton. So sometimes you get really surprised, and this was definitely one of them. I was like, damn, I can't believe like how much this farming game is making me like sweat and like worry about like my crop yields and how I'm gonna improve my production chains and all that. It's just a crazy situation. So I played that, and then obviously I've been playing Forza. So I'm actually I've got my first assignment from IGN working on their wiki, and my wiki task is I have to take a photo of and add to the map every single XP board and fast travel board in Forza Horizon 5. There are 250 of them. So I have to find them all, take a photo, and explain how to get the board, and then add it to the map as a pin. So if you go to the IGN Forza wiki, right now you'll see that all 50 fast travel boards are there. I got all those done, and now I'm working my way through the XP boards, and I'm hoping to have them done like early this week. But it's fascinating. I've never worked with the IGN Wiki team. They've always sort of scared me because their work is really intense. It's like, all right, make a guide on how to get through this entire game and get every single collectible and photograph it all and document it. And I'm just like, damn, that's like a lot of work. But they needed some extra hands on this one, and they know I'm a huge Forza fan. So they were like, do you want to get all the XP boards? And I was like, you know what? I've never played a Forza Horizon game and gotten all the XP boards before, and now I will have to. So this will be a unique experience either way. And I'm also looking forward, because it's the first thing I have to do, right? I have to get all fast travel boards, and then I get all XP boards, and then I get to start actually playing the game. So my experience is going to be really weird. Like I'm going to like start playing with like a clear map, like all the XP boards taken care of. So I'm pretty interested to see how that'll color my impressions. But yeah, I've been playing a ton of Forza, obviously, and literally just looking for the board so far. I've not done like a single race. I've not done anything. I've just did the opening event, and now I'm just looking for all the fast travel and XP boards. So
that's
an interesting way to play the game.
That's cool though, because as we talked about in DM, but shout out to Miranda Sanchez, because she runs the wiki team over there at IGN, right? And so it's a pretty cool assignment regardless to be part of that. And honestly, I may even damn use your guide, because I'm at like 210 of 250 total boards.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, I've been playing. I'm a level 150 in the game, dude.
Yeah, you've had extra time, and also you don't have to stop every time you find one and take a photo and then upload it and then mark a pin in a map. Like it actually takes like maybe 4 minutes per board. Every time I find a board, I have to like take a photo, add it to the thing, create a one-sentence description. Add it to the map. Yeah, then I have to find the map and go, okay, where is this? And then like find the exact place to drop the pin in. So like I'll see like 4 boards right next to each other, and I'll just be like, man, this is like a 15-minute project right now. Like it's gonna take me time to do all this. So
do they not have the
treasure
collectibles map?
They do, but you have to buy.
They have a treasures map. You have to buy it.
Come with the thing?
No, it doesn't.
Treasure map never comes.
It doesn't come with any package you can buy, so you have to buy it separately. So now I'm going to save the entire world like $3. You're welcome,
I actually it may sound stupid, but I actually like that, Dan, because I wouldn't want to use the map.
Oh, I would 100%.
No, I know.
Actually, you know what's funny? Even if you buy it, it doesn't unlock automatically. You have to go to your map and click a special button to open your treasure map, and then it gives you a warning like, "Do you want to do this?" Because if you do this, it's gonna like take everything. It's gonna take all the surprise out of the map. I had to buy it because there's no way I'm like organically hunting these things. To, so I bought it just so I can get the guide done as quickly as possible. But
yeah, I mean, I have nearly 50 hours in the game, and I look for the boards, and I'm still got 40 to go. So yeah.
Some of them are tough. I got all the fast travel ones though. Some of those are on top of rooftops. You have to jump from like 100 yards away. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've got a few of them. I think I'm at like 42 or something of the 50 fast travels. But anyway, Wade Lau, what's up, man? Lady about going back to farming simulator said, can I get married to the town librarian?
You know how you can get an answer to that question? You can watch my preview later this week, and I'll give you the dish on what's up with the town librarian.
The relationship building.
Yeah, you can marry the town librarian, but only if you're the music man. Musical reference for anybody who cares about that.
I didn't even get it, but we're moving on. Dan, we got some super chats, man.
Guys, is there no path to upgrade the Xbox Series X or S? And if so, why isn't it a big deal? From Lau for $5
upgrade
super chat.
What?
Okay, hold on. You said that all kinds of weird, Dan. So
Way
of the Lau.
Way of the Lau.
$5 super chat.
$5 super chat. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what the hell I was paying for here. My treasure map. Guys,
you don't need to buy it while we're talking. Come on.
I always do this. Guys, is there no path to upgrade the Xbox Series X or S? And if so, why isn't a big deal?
I'm not quite sure what you mean here. I don't know if you maybe mean if you still have a 1 or 1X and there's no upgrade path to Xbox X or S. Or are you talking about
like the console itself? Like
the console itself. Are you talking about games? Because games obviously is.
Okay, he says sorry, I meant the SSD. So is there no path to upgrade the Xbox Series X or
I see what he means.
SSD.
He means the internal SSD. Yeah. Right. So
there is not a path to do that.
Yeah,
there's not a legal path to do it. You have to break the warranty on your Xbox if you do that. You can, but it's you're officially a modder. You've gone rogue.
I mean, it depends on methodology, right? I mean, Xbox took the path of we're going to make it plug and play. So now there's 5 12 gigabyte, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabyte options to upgrade your SSD, which the nice thing on Xbox, I will say, is that it's not only plug and play, but it is identical performance to the internal, and it syncs to the internal. So whereas if you're starting to install third-party drives, performance can vary, right? You can get slower performance. You can technically get faster performance. But you have to kind of do that research yourself. So PlayStation went the other direction, which is, we have this upgrade port, but again, you've got to do your own research and kind of figure out what you want to do there, size, speed, etc. It has to be obviously over a certain speed. So I don't know. It's not a big deal to me. I do like the plug and play aspect. Obviously, the SSDs for both of these consoles are expensive because they're M2 NVMe drives, but not a big deal to me.
External would be my advice. Yeah, like it's expensive, but if your options are start modding your Xbox and find a way to replace the internal, or just buy an external card that would expand your storage, just do that. Or you can be like me, and you can have both the external expansion and then also plug in 2 non-SSD drives that are each 16 terabytes, and then you can store 4,000 games on your Xbox, as I have been able to do.
And a liquid cool server rack that's right next to
it's honestly not that bad. It's 2 small little towers right next to my Series X, and they both have 2,000 games on them.
It's a little known fact that xCloud runs through his house.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
it's a hub.
You know what's funny? Yeah. You know what's funny is you actually can buy a separate Series X and turn it into a server. You can convert and Microsoft created a way for consumers to do this. You can basically use it to run additional storage off of and to transfer games between.
And you can dev kit them too.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty dope if you really get into it. So yeah, if you want to have a really nerdy conversation about storage solutions, I am extremely finicky about my storage situation, and I've I've researched so much about how, honestly, the storage situation is the reason I'm an Xbox main. That's the reason, because on PlayStation, I wouldn't be able to keep my library there. So I just am like, nah, I'm going to play on Xbox. It's like the main reason, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So long story short, yeah, you use the external plug and play, man. It's simple. They're expensive. You can find them on sale for like maybe $20 less once in a while, but it's so easy. You literally just plug it in. I mean, that's the easiest thing to do. And you don't have to worry about messing anything up, warranty, performance, nothing. It just works.
I also have a friend, Teddy, who bought like 6 of these external terabytes, and he just uses them like memory cards.
Like memory cards.
Them out. So he'll have like an A through F card that's like his A through F games, and then and then he'll literally just be like, "Oh, I want to play a Call of Duty. All right, get that card and pull it out and plug the other one in." And I'm like, "How much did it cost you to do it?" Jesus. And you know what the funny thing is? He found a website that was accidentally selling those $200 cards for like $30. So he bought like 8 of them, and that's how he's able to do it. He got like super lucky there. So I'm kind of envious of that system.
Yeah, that's wild. That's like going back to the PS2 era. All right, so Sark as well. Dan.
Yeah, man. Sarko, the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. Hey, do you want to be a farmer? All right, farmer. I'm assuming. Here's a couple of acres.
Oh my gosh, farmer. I can't do the Arnold impression, Sark. I'm sorry.
Maybe it's like a Wahlberg thing. Like, yeah. You want to be a farmer? No. All right. Bill Burr. I don't know.
Yes.
He's up there in the Northeast, isn't he? He's somewhere up there.
He does the accent at least.
Yes.
He lost the accent.
Yeah, he's in LA now. But anyway, we're off track. But thank you, Sark. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we jump into Forza then, and the Game of the Year conversation, which is kind of the top of mind this week, I would say, because of how good Forza is. So long story short, Forza's out, reviews are out. I reviewed it for Season Gaming. I put a ridiculous amount of time in it to do the review. In fact, out of everyone on my list who I know also did reviews and videos and publications and whatnot, I was way ahead of them in the game. So I just made sure to really be thorough on this. I did give it a 10, which is the first.
You did.
I did.
Nice.
First 10 we've given it SG since 2018. Which might mean we need to rethink our model a little bit, but outside of that, actually, Travis, in all seriousness, when I was talking about reviewing in, and I was kind of like in the 9.5, and we had the conversation around, the game itself and stuff, and I went back and thought, and the reason we don't give a lot of 10s is 10s for us is historic, meaning it had some kind of notable impact on the genre or the industry, like lasting impact. And as I thought more about this game, and knowing how much I play racing games and cars, all that stuff, this is, in my opinion, the best overall kind of complete racing game ever made. It takes everything from tons of different genres. You can play it in a million different ways. It's beautiful. It runs well. Car customization, modding, liveries, multiplayer. It does literally everything. And it does it all like better than most games. So that's why I went from a 9.5 to a 10. And I just said, yeah. And it was funny to see, whenever you give a 10, you kind of start to think a bit. You're like, oh God, am I going to be this person that's giving this game a 10? And, everyone else is going to be, but this game,
like the standard.
Yeah. From major publications, it has 9 10s right now. That's not including us, right? Because we're not a major publication, but major publications, it's got 9 10s, a ton of 9.5s. It's currently sitting on OpenCritic at 92, just due to a few people who gave it an 8. Like one guy gave it an 8 and said,
I was very confused by that.
His quote was, I don't really normally play Horizon, so I don't know much about it, but I like Mario Kart. And I'm like, who's reviewing these games for you? Like, what are we doing? So,
here's the thing though. I mean, you've defined what our criteria is for our reviews, and this one, in your opinion, meets those criteria.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and that's it. I mean, there's nobody else you really have to justify it to.
No, exactly.
And I think, it's probably right, especially in this genre, even though I haven't played it, I'm assuming that Playground knows what they're doing. They've proven it over the years. They're an amazing developer, specifically with these kind of games. And they've incrementally, gotten better. And this, by all means, should be the pinnacle
it is
of racing games out there right now.
Yep.
And again, being historic on our website, that's one of the criteria. It moves that genre forward, and it gives everybody else a baseline for what they need to beat. And I don't think it'll happen until Forza Horizon 6, probably.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, go ahead, James.
I think it will be historic, to your point, Ains, in the grand scheme of things, because I don't think we'll have a CarPG like this for a long time. I think Forza Horizon 6 is far away.
Probably.
And I say that because both they're developing Fable. Yes, it's a separate team at Playground, but they're developing Fable. And the next time they make a Forza Horizon game, they're probably going to be doing it on the new engine that was built for the new Forza Motorsport game that's coming out pretty soon. So I would imagine that Forza Horizon 6 is like 3, maybe 4 years away. It's probably a pretty far away. Sure. And I think the Studio Playground games will be very different by the time that game comes out. And I think people will probably play Fable and look back at this and be like, wow, where's the studio been? Because nobody's going to care about Playground games until they make a not car game. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, right?
Broader,
they're one of the best developers in the industry. Like, I would put them in the top 3 developers, period, right? Sure. And they don't get the respect they deserve because of their genre. And I feel like once they make Fable, the world's going to be like, wow, where's the studio been? And people who have been playing Forza Horizon are going to be like, dude, they've been making like the best RPGs for a decade. I don't know what you were expecting. Like that's kind of what they do. So I think people will look back at this game and see it in a very like special place in like the lexicon of both car games, but also in the studio's history for Playground games. Like, this will be sort of like a landmark for them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well said as well. Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. It is remarkable. It really is. It's it takes everything. Forza Horizon 4 was already an amazing game, and it takes kind of everything it does well and just amplifies it. I mean, it looks better, it plays better, there's more to do, it's scripted better. I mean, it's just, it's amazing. And it is. I think, to your point, we know that, Fable is probably a massive undertaking, right? I'm sure that the scope of that game is very large, and whether it's a different team, as well as I do, those teams are going to work together, right? So they're going to pull all those people over. You'll have the small team that continues to develop for Horizon 5 with the DLC and expansions and stuff. But the priority is going to be Fable now for a while. So yeah, we'll see. But Forza Motorsport, to your point, is next gen only, series console only, and PC. And it is on an entirely new engine, new physics models for all kinds of stuff. So what I was trying to picture is, and we don't have to get too much on a sidebar here, but is Motorsport going to then pull some of the things from Horizon? I'm sure it will, right? Like some of their skybox technology they've recorded, and, those things that really make the environment feel real. Yeah, weather impacts, and they kind of trade on and off. And I was fortunate enough to play in a developer session when I was doing my review. And in my party that I was speaking to, the host of it was at Playground Games. She was a engineer. But one of the guys who I was talking to is at Turn 10. And he was part of the team that developed the lighting in the game. So they work together. It's not just Playground, like Turn 10. And I told him, I said, the lighting, honestly, is one of the best parts of the game. It is. I don't know if I've seen a game. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I've seen a game with better lighting, period. Like any game. It's.
You ever go into a dark tunnel in Horizon, and then when you come out on the other side, it does that thing where you can't see anything past the tunnel. It just looks like a bright light, and then when you go out, you get like smashed in the face with like that as you like open up to them.
And then it all settles.
And I was sitting in complete darkness, and then it happened. And my TV's huge. I have like an 82-inch television, and it just like made my entire like my room go from like dead dark to just like lit up, like I was in the middle of downtown city, and it was crazy. That blew me away.
It's remarkable. I put in my review that I called out. I literally had a paragraph on the lighting, and I just said it. They always talk about with car games the car looking like it belongs in the environment. If you look at a lot of the older car games, right, like you have the environment, and then the car looks like a video game car was put in that environment. Like, it doesn't look set. And in this, it's like the first time where really you're looking at it and you're like, it feels like part of the same scene almost. And it's just amazing, man. So going back to, so anything else on Forza directly, guys? Dan, you said you haven't played it yet.
I haven't played it yet, so.
I wanted to just say that Forza Horizon 5 is a great game when Forza Horizon 4, the main thing they were advertising was the whole seasonal model where like the world would change if it was like winter, the lake would get frozen over. And Forza Horizon 5 is such a great game that I completely forgot that it also was using that mechanic. So I was just driving around in Forza and then I found this place and I was like, wow, why is this river like super empty? And then I was like, oh my God, like they're still doing the season thing. Like I thought that was just a one-off because it was such a huge thing that they put into Forza Horizon 4. And then now it's like they didn't even talk about it. Like I never heard them be like, oh yeah, we're bringing it back. And but it's in the game, and it's going to be changing the world and week over week. And I just was completely blown away that like such a huge thing for the last game is like a footnote in this game. They're like, well, yeah, of course there's going to be seasons. Like that just goes without saying, right? Like obviously, let's talk about this new stuff we're adding, and that just blows me away. That just how much they evolve each game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was actually looking at my review because I forget what they're called, but they do 4 seasons again, but it's not because it's in Mexico. It's not summer, winter, etc. I believe it's hot, dry, wet, and storm. I believe hot, dry, wet, storm, something like that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's 4 seasons again, but I literally put it in my review and I'm looking because I forgot the name. There it is. But they are hot, wet, storm, and dry. I got it right. Yeah. So thus aligning with the locale, right? Which is really cool. So, and if you look at the festival playlist, it aligns with that too. It'll say wet season, hot season, etc. So it tells you what season you're in. So to your point,
no snow, no freezing lakes, but you'll have like crazy stormy weather
and the neat thing is when now they have the event lab, right, where you can create your own stuff, and when you go in there you can actually pick what season it is to create your thing. So like you can pick like gale force storms, or you can pick like heavy downfall rain, or these different things, or just super dry and hot. And it's really cool, man. Really cool.
I'm gonna create a mod to add a 5th weather pattern. It'll be called Sharknado season. Just Sharknadoes everywhere.
Just floating around randomly.
Floating around. That's like the main. What's the weather like? Oh, it's Sharknado out there. All right.
Be careful.
Be careful. Yeah.
What's up, B, Steph, Jordan? Jordan and I. So one thing we found for our group here is that Eliminator is like the battle royale in Forza Horizon, right? And it's actually really fun. I didn't play it much in Forza Horizon 4, but it's a lot of fun. So what we found is because it's pre-access or pre-release, if you go to Eliminator with your friends and you hit X to start the match at the same time, you almost always get in the same match. So we weren't doing it to cheat. We were just doing it to compete with one another, right? So like we'd get in and there'd be 45 people in the match, but like 4 of the people would be us. And we wouldn't tell each other where we were or anything. We would just race. And we had one that came down with, we got a bunch of top 10s last night, but Jordan and I, we had a moment where we were racing towards the finish line. And I was like, oh my God. He's like, I'm 2.2 miles away. I was like, I'm 2.1. And we were coming from different directions. And, we're racing to the finish line. He's like, I'm 800 yards away. I'm like, I'm 800 yards away. Like, I think we crashed into the finish line. Like, you can't see each other, but I crashed in the finish line at almost the same time. And I actually beat him. I must have beat him by like, I don't know, nothing, like half a second, if that. And I got first and he got second. It was pretty funny. So, but it was a lot of fun. So if you do want to play Eliminator with your friends, you can technically do it that way, at least right now and before full release.
So what is Eliminator? You're not supposed to be able to play it with people, just
because it's a battle royale. So like, and there's accolades. There's an achievement for winning, and then there's accolades in the game for it. So if you wanted, you could be like, if you join with a party of 8, like 7 people could not try, or you could, you could have where like when you eliminate someone, you race them and eliminate them in the game, you get to upgrade your car. So like you could just, people could find a way to kind of cheat it.
Got it. So, yeah, I haven't played that match. I actually haven't even played Forza Horizon 5 yet. I've just played Board Hunting Simulator. So soon I will play Forza 5.
Yeah. But it's amazing. It is amazing. It deserves all the praise it's getting. It's wild to me. I don't know if you guys saw this, and it's probably past it as of now, but last night it was at 940,000 players.
It's over a million.
Whoa, in early access.
In early access.
Dude, when this game hits Game Pass, oh my God.
I know.
It's going to be like 10 million players immediately, at least.
Yeah, it's easily going to be the biggest Forza Horizon yet, deservedly so, like we've been saying. But yeah, so I keep looking at the global leaderboards, and funny enough, even with 940,000 people, I'm still top 1%. Like I'm like top 100 in the world,
dude. You had a week.
I know. I had 8 days
impressive.
before it got to anyone, which was great, and I played the hell out of it. So, but it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And just a quick shout out: we do have a Seasoned Gaming Racers Club. So join up. We've already got like over 60 people. We're top 100 in the world right now. Seasoned Gaming is out of like 2,000 clubs or something like that. So yeah.
How many are you allowed to have? Does it have like a limit? Like
you can have 2,000 people in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, 2,000. So we're over 60. Yeah, we're up there. We're like I said, we're in the top 1% of clubs, which is pretty cool. So join up. It's just seasoned racers.
You 1%er.
1%er. Yeah, I'm telling you.
I'm in the 1%.
I wish I meant it the other way. Yeah.
Early access.
Then I wouldn't have to work and could just play Forza all day, you know?
That's right. You still have to do shows with me though, so that's kind of your monkey paw.
Still work.
Your monkey paw. You can have your
monkey
trust in Mark. You can have all the money you want, but you have to be friends with Travis every show with him every week. Unfortunate.
Yeah, come on, Travis. Like Jordan said, come join the family. It's family. We're family. I should have named it Seasoned Family. Damn it.
You should have. Then I would have joined. Absolutely. So, like, I have people pulling me in a few directions. I've got the IGN group.
I don't care about IGN group. We're passing those bastards.
Trying to do it. Maybe I'll just start my own. I'll be the only member. It'll be great. You have to come to me if you want to play with me. We'll see. My plan is basically to see who's still playing in like 3 weeks, and I'll join that whatever club is still like active. You know, that's my plan.
Yeah. Dano, good morning, dude. All right, guys. So Forza Horizon 92 on OpenCritic, highest rated game of the year, by actually kind of a decent clip, because when you go and I pulled this for our notes
below
here,
it, what like I would have expected that like Deathloop is probably like a 90 or 91
88
or something.
Deathloop. So I've got the whole list here. So there's a ton of games between 87 and 89, but no game that released this year. Remember, we're not counting Hades because Hades is not a 2021 game, stuff like that. Mm. But games released this year, no other game had topped 90. Flight Simulator, I think, is like a 91 as well, but technically it released last year for PC, right? So this year only, we got Forza at 92. Then you got Psychonauts 2 at 89. It Takes Two at 89. Ratchet and Clank at 88, Monster Hunter Rise, Death's Door, Deathloop, all 88. And then you've got Tales of Arise, Metroid Dread at 87, and then the lower end is Hitman 3 and Returnal at 86.
What about Kenna? Is Kenna not even near?
Kenna's like an 80, low 80s.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So long story short, going into Forza, my personal game of the year, and I want to point out, like, it's always hard to talk game of the year because in my opinion, there's a very big difference between your favorite game of the year and critical game of the year. And I had this debate with someone on Twitter the other day, not debate, but conversation. And, you know, in my opinion, I think it shouldn't just be opinion. There should be some critical eye applied to it. Again, things we talked about with Forza giving a 10, right? Like, how does it compare to other games in its genre? What does it do now that's different from other games? You know, what elements was it going for, and did it achieve those readily, right? So my game of the year up to this point has been Psychonauts 2. I just thought that game, from a platforming perspective, story perspective, level design, it's just absolutely incredible. Forza is definitely up there for me now. Like, I don't know if I can put it over Psychonauts 2 because that just has such a meaningful kind of meaningful impact to me personally. But I absolutely am of the opinion that I don't care if it's a racing game. That doesn't make any sense to me, that it shouldn't be part of the game of the year conversation. A good game or an amazing game is an amazing game. And my opinion is you don't have to have narrative to make a game of the year contender. I don't know who came up with this false rule. In fact, I know Overwatch won Game of the Year awards. Game doesn't have any narrative. Has characters.
It does, but it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was telling someone it has characters, and then if you want to know more about those characters, you can go find info.
You have to watch YouTube videos. That should not be factored into the game.
Right. So it doesn't have. My point being, it doesn't have narrative, right? And there's plenty of other examples we could give here that don't necessarily have narrative or story. Or my thing is it an excellent game? What's it do for a genre? We don't have to talk about that Stranding. But
I'm saying it doesn't have a story is my point.
Yeah, I got you. So anyway, point being, for me, I think Psychonauts 2 is probably still my top, but I'd have to say Forza is definitely top 3. It's too good to ignore, and I absolutely think that it should be part of any serious Game of the Year conversation. Where do you guys stand on this?
Go ahead, Travis.
I was gonna hope Dan was gonna say.
I can do it. Yeah,
I hope he was gonna have really strong opinions, like just be like, absolutely not. Cars have no space in the Game of the Year podium.
Whatever I was gonna say, it was gonna be completely the opposite.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Oh, let me add one more thing I want to hear your guys' comment on too, because I heard someone like, and again, this is random comments, so they're not really meaningful, but I hear people say things like, "Well, it's just a car game," and my thing is, do you know how challenging it is to get a car to feel like a real car in a game? Like the physics models, the engines, the programming, the coding that goes into tires and weight and momentum and feel and all these things. Like it's probably one of the most challenging things for developers to do, especially when you're
how about rendering the world and the objects in it while you're driving 250 miles per hour?
That's a whole nother thing.
Most games can't even do it when your character's walking.
Exactly. That's my point. It's like they talk about a character like animating well, right? And it's like that's nothing compared to getting cars to do what we're talking about here. And let's not forget that there's over 500 cars in the game, 536 if you want to be exact at the moment. But they feel like they're real life counterparts, right? There's factors that go into weight and whether they're rear wheel drive, front wheel drive, etc. That goes into aerodynamics and all these different things, right? And you can tune those on the fly. So I could keep going because I'm getting into my car guy mode, but you know what I'm saying. Like saying it's just a car game is so insulting, I think, to the developers of these games that it seems crazy.
It's also not just a car game. To my point earlier, like Playground Games has been making the best RPGs of the past decade, and people don't know that because they're car. I
like the car PG.
They're car PGs. That's what they are. They're. I think people really downplay the other aspects of the game that aren't just about being cars. And I'm used to this because they do it with Fast and Furious too. Oh, that's just a stupid car movie franchise. And I'm like, you haven't seen it clearly, otherwise you wouldn't be saying that, right?
There's no need to insult the cars in Fast and Furious. It's the people and the acting that's
no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Vin Diesel is unironically the greatest actor of our generation, and I rest my case now. But yeah, my point is that people love to reduce things to their most basic components. And as somebody who likes things that some people the definition of a nerd is somebody who's passionate about things that it's not socially acceptable to be passionate about. Cars are typically in the category of things that you can be in love with and still be accepted by society. But car video games, for some reason, is the exception to that rule. If you're into car games, you're ostracized by both the car community, because people like Ains will tell you that you're not a real car guy, and you get ostracized by gamers who say you're not a real gamer because you just like car games. And so I think people are really reducing it when they say it's a car game. It's an RPG. It's an open world game. It is a map creator game. That's a huge component.
Creation game.
Creation games. Not enough games get credit for that. Almost no games include it anymore.
Multiplayer game as well.
It's a multiplayer game. It's a game as a service. It's the list goes on and on. So to say it's just a car game when it's a game that nails 9 other genres that typically when people try to make just one of those things, they fail more often than not, is an insane argument to me. I will defend it 100%. I think absolutely it should be in Game of the Year discussions. Will it be? I don't think so. And I don't think it will be, just because of I've seen it before. Forza 3 and Forza 4 didn't even get nominated, and they were some of the highest rated games of the year.
I don't think Forza 5 Well, we
I
don't
think
know
Forza
yet. 'Cause
5 will get nominated. I think it will get nominated. I think it will be a breakthrough game as the first game to even get spoken of in the same breath of Game of the Year, but I don't think it will win. And I think that that's a shame, but it is what it is. And there's a bias when they shove all the games that people don't like into its own category called racing and sports games.
I
right?
know,
Like,
I know.
they just go game. They might as well just called it games nobody actually cares about the category, right? Like it's like so obvious, like that when sports and racing. Okay, I don't know how those two are related, but all right. That's I think that'll unfortunately be a bias that continues. But if there's any game that can break car games out of the ugly stepchild and into the mainstream, I think it's this one, and I think hopefully it will.
Yeah, I think we don't know the nominations yet. And I'll just remind everyone that the Game Awards do not dictate what Game of the Year is. They're just one award show. Sadly, I think people look at them as like the official
award show.
They posted like 2 months ago or something, and Jeff Keighley got heat for it, saying, what game this fall is going to be nominated for Game of the Year, and they had a list, and of course Forza Horizon 5 wasn't on it.
Well, what were the games on it? Call of Duty Vanguard, Battlefield.
I don't remember. Yeah. Of course, it's not going to be Battlefield. I can tell you that much. By the way, I think Mark's on the right track here. I just want to throw this up.
Sure.
I think that's him throwing up because he realizes he's not worthy of it.
Yeah, that's what I think. We all do that, actually. Anytime. Gosh,
I still do it. I've seen the film, all the movies, like 20 times. That 20 times is definitely underplaying it. It's more like 50. I've seen all those movies.
Think of all the better things you could have accomplished with that time.
Yeah, like playing Forza.
How dare you? Second of all, first of all, you can play Forza and watch a Fast and Furious movie at the same time. And if you haven't done it yet,
that's because you don't have to pay attention to the acting. It doesn't matter.
You know what, Ains? You are about to cross some goddamn line, sir. You know what? They put a Fast and Furious expansion into Forza, so you have to at least appreciate it to some degree. They respect Fast and Furious at the Playground Games workshop.
No,
I guarantee you they do, because they always put cars that are featured in those movies. Always. And they named their achievement. They named their achievement after a Fast and Furious quote.
Yeah, it's part of
Ask
the culture.
Any racer, any real racer. Yeah, because there's awesome.
There's not any real racer in that movie. So,
oh my god,
the only real racer in those movies is dead.
You're not a real racer.
Bam!
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would argue
I've raced more than anyone in those movies, other than Paul Walker.
True.
Sorry, Paul. Paul was a great guy, so I'm certainly not. Paul was an amazing guy. So.
And your, I'm gonna put this down, but boo this man. I say to the internet, boo this man.
All right. So now that we've had that conversation, as always. So I think Fast and Furious is becoming our weekly topic, by the way.
Yeah, now that's
true. It's no longer dating sims or whatever.
It's switched over. So here's the thing, like you kind of alluded to it, where there's like the objective, this game is objectively good, and then there's the personal feelings that you kind of have to. It almost has to be two, because I can go in and play. I've never had a racing game probably in my top 3 games, regardless, like for on a personal level. Now, objectively, I can go back and look at Forza Horizon 4, 3, and go, gosh, these are amazing games. For me, I have no idea. I mean, it would have to be something ridiculous, and I can't speak on it too much because I haven't played it yet. That being said, there are, you can find examples of this, I think, in other areas. You never see like a movie like Step Brothers be nominated for an Oscar. It's always got to be some artsy crap that it has a meaning to it or something. Doesn't mean it's not objectively a good movie. It's still awesome and hilarious, but it's never going to be Best Picture nomination, right? Whether that's right or wrong, I have no idea. I think it's wrong, because that's an awesome movie, or like Old School or something hilarious. It's always these stupid other movies that nobody's ever seen before, right? Like, this year, if I had to predict it right now, I'd say it's going to be either It Takes Two or like Death's Door, which probably will have.
Really?
That just, I haven't played either one.
I don't think so at all.
Here's why: because they're kind of outliers. I think maybe, the amount of people that will play Forza is going to completely dwarf the amount of people that have probably played those two games combined. But everybody seems to like indie devs, so they kind of push them up to the top for some reason. It's stupid.
For some
Just
reason,
like movies.
because
they're very good games, Dan.
Maybe,
yeah, they're very
maybe.
good. Games.
I'll never know because I'll never play them.
I think it'll be some PlayStation game we all forgot about. It'll be like Returnal, or it'll be something like that. We'll be like, really? That was this game? I don't remember playing that.
Like personally, for me, I mean, this is gonna sound stupid, but like Hitman 3, obviously, but I just have so many hours.
Did not come out this game, though.
And then Judgment, Lost Judgment this year is probably my two favorite games I played. And they, Hitman 3 did well. Judgment, they were probably, I think
Judgment got reviewed well, just not top.
Right, yeah. But that's going to be, on a personal level, those will probably be two of my favorite games this year. On an objective level, again, I haven't played Forza yet, but I'm sure it'll be up there. So it's going to be kind of one of those things where it kind of depends on the criteria of like what are you looking for. Like people will mostly vote, let's say for the Game Awards, they mostly will vote with their hearts as opposed to trying to be objective and say,
you can't be objective. It's all opinions.
Well, yeah.
There's no such thing as objective.
You can do it. I mean, you could 100% do it. I mean, you could
do what? Be objective?
Why couldn't you be objective?
It's literally impossible. It is a subjective topic. What is the best? The definition of best has no hard definition. You can't decide it with math. There's no scientifically speaking, mathematically speaking, the best game was this. Even if you're doing it by Metacritic, it's just an aggregate of other people's opinions.
If you give me
subjective,
like a good cheese, right, and then you give me like the best choice version or the great value version of cheese, objectively, this is going to have higher quality ingredients as opposed to all this processed garbage that you get.
No. That's 100%. It's not objective.
It may not taste, but the taste might be. You might like this fucking shit over here, garbage. That you might like that better. But objectively, this gorgonzola is $80 for a quarter pound or whatever it is.
That doesn't make it better though.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's the high quality ingredients. It's just a better cheese.
The ingredients are higher quality, but what does higher quality mean? Does higher quality mean tastier? Because if it does, then somebody could argue that it isn't higher quality.
That is true.
You know what I'm saying? It's all subjective. So
all I know is I want some cheese.
Everybody has their own parameters. My parameters for game of the year are I try to pick the game that I think moved the industry forward the most. So last year, my game of the year, my game of the year last year was Half-Life Alyx because it sort of made VR like a thing that everybody should do now. It solved all the problems. It felt like now VR games were maybe going to be different going forward. To me, that was game of the year. Hades mastered the roguelike genre, but it didn't push the industry forward in the same way that I thought Half-Life Alyx did. So that was my game of the year. This year it's a little harder because I don't know if there's an obvious front runner for a game that just
I don't think there is
us away and pushed us forward in an amazing way. I don't think there's one as obvious as it was last year. So I think it's a little rougher of a year, and that might just be because ton of games got delayed. There's the whole COVID effect, all that stuff. So it's a little harder, but it is always subjective. And I think people should be okay with it being subjective. Just realize there's no right answer. Because the reason I'm so on my soapbox about this is because I deal with the IGN comment section all day. And every single comment is, oh my God, why did this game get an 8 and this game got a 7? And people just don't seem to understand that reviews are people's opinions. And that different people have different opinions about different games. The scores only mean that one person had a specific opinion about the game and they tried to describe it in the form of a number, and so that's the Game Awards are, of course, everyone's opinions. And I have a lot of questions about how they work. In the nominating process, do they have to have all beaten all of the games that year? How do they decide if a game gets nominated if none of them have played it? And then there's the voters. The voters are just people with opinions who probably haven't played any of the games. They've watched YouTube videos or Twitch, or maybe they've played one or two on the list. So there's just a lot of problems with all of the Game Awards, but those don't have to be problems if you just recognize that it's all opinions. It's all subjective. There's no right or wrong answer. And it's really not even worth trying to make it objective because it's an impossibility.
I think one of the funny things about the gaming industry too is when you look at movies, right? You could watch all the nominated movies in a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can just burn through them and say, I've seen all the movies that were nominated. This is my favorite or what I think is the best. Games, you just can't do that. There's too much time here. Like for all the people voting to have played all these games and play them the way they need to be played to really be reviewed critically, like finish them if you can, if it's a story, or play them to their, like you did with Riders Republic, right? Like you have to do all these things and put a bunch of time in. It doesn't happen in games. I'm actually though very proud to say, and I tweeted this out, that I've reviewed Forza, I reviewed Psychonauts, I reviewed Deathloop, and then I've played Takes Two, Ratchet and Clank. I've played all of these games or reviewed them, other than Monster Hunter Rise, which is just not my type of game. But it's crazy to me that
I'm going to play every game that gets nominated, and I'm going to beat it. But that's a Herculean feat. I'm only able to do that because I don't have friends or loved ones. Like that's just my life, right? And so I don't expect most people to do that. But if you think about it, it's not just playing all the games that are going to get nominated. If you're the judge nominating games, that means you theoretically should have had to play every single game that year to know if it should be even nominated. So the nominating process is also sort of a lot of it comes down to who is the biggest PR team. A game could be the best game that came out that year, but if nobody plays it or there's not a lot of like hype around it or whatever, then people miss it. Like what's that roguelike game that came out right after it's the Steam one that my friend Ebontis is like going on about all the time. I can't even remember the name of it. It's Grime. That's the name of the game. Grime. Okay. That's a game that I've heard a lot of people say like that should be game of the year. But when I talk to, like, for example, when I just said it to you, there was no recognition in your eyes or
no, I don't know.
Eyes. Like you guys just haven't even heard of it, and people are talking about that as game of the year. So a lot of it is like how many people know about your game. That's like one of the factors that really impacts if it gets game of the year or not.
Well, and there's too many games nowadays. I mean, the market is just
way
too
big.
Many. Yeah,
way too many.
And Beast kind of agrees with you. You need like a framework and a 1 or 2 month cycle for reviewing the games that are, I guess up here for the people. I think is what he's referring to, right? Like,
I think people should nominate. People should nominate games, and then everyone who's voting should have to play them all. Maybe not finish them, because that would be kind of an insane thing. But I've gotten into arguments with other publications I wrote for in the past where it's just like, people are just nominating the 1 or 2 games that they played that year, and then they vote for those games. And it's really hard to put a list of, everyone should be able to nominate. If you're on the staff at Season Gaming, everyone gets to nominate any game. It only needs one person to endorse it, and then everyone has to play all those games. But putting that together is hard, because it's like, what if they don't have the money to buy the games? What if they don't have the time to do it, but they still want to vote? What if they just have a certain bias, like how you don't like Monster Hunter Rise because it's not your type of game? That is going to impact your opinion on it and how willing you are to play it to begin with. So it's impossible to kind of create a framework that makes sense, I think. So you just have to hope for the best, right? Like that's what we're all doing. We're trying to play as many games as we can in good faith and hope that some of the ones that we nominate for Game of the Year actually deserve it. That's kind of the only way to go.
Yeah, I have no problem with Forza. Wherever it gets nominated for Game of the Year, it's fine. I literally don't care. If it gets nominated, great. If it doesn't, okay. It's one of those things where it I guess doesn't really matter too much. I wish Playground, and they do for sure. They get the recognition. I think people that play those games understand the level of quality that they're getting. I think that they appreciate what Playground has done. Now it comes down to, and I think really the industry does too. I think generally the bigger players in the industry understand how much of a great game that is, or when you have a game like that, regardless of the genre, they know. And now whether it gets nominated for, let's just use Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, because that's the one that has the most eyes on it. Whether it gets nominated for that or not, I don't know. But that's Phil Spencer, Kojima, all those guys, the people that nominate these games, they're the ones. It's that committee or whatever they have.
It's a panel, a panel of industry people. I think they always have somebody on IGN on it, and it's a panel of industry people.
So I mean, I think you'll get a good mix of different games, and it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, based on the reviews only that I've seen, that Forza Horizon gets in that category of Game of the Year this year. Does it win? I'm probably with Travis on this. I don't think so, only because
it's votes, right? In the Jeff Keighley one, isn't it the panel nominates and then everyone votes on that?
Well, they have, but it's broken up. I think it's something like 60% weighting to the panel and 40% weighting to people, something like that.
So you got people like Jeff Grubb and those top guys over that do the bigger industry people that are voting. So they've got their weighted, like you said, Danes, is maybe 60%. I don't even know if it's that high. It actually might be higher.
I think it's higher. I think the people only account for like 10% of the vote.
Yeah, it's not much.
Whoa. So it has to be close to begin with for their vote to even matter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And so then it's just a process too. I mean, what process are you using? What process do we use in season gaming? So it's just going to be different. I think if you like the game and you want it to be your game of the year, then that's your game of the year. Fine by me. It's not going to hurt my feelings. Yeah. So it's like I said, Travis says, it's subjective in that way, and like that's why I said, trying to be more open minded to new experiences, which I'm really not.
It's good that you admit that, because you vote on Game of the Year at Season Gaming, right? I assume you do.
Yeah, I mean, last year I think I was the only one that voted for the Pathless, but that's okay, because that was just my Game of the Year.
But how many people even played it? That's my problem.
I think
a lot of people are.
I played it. I played it on Dan's recommendation.
Yeah,
there's that old game. There's that old quote that, like, you're not entitled to your opinion, you're entitled to your informed opinion. No one is entitled to be ignorant.
Sure. And then that makes sense.
Well, with games review or with Game of the Year awards, a lot of people are voting out of like ignorance, like 40%, 50% of the time.
We tried to do a new Season Gaming Awards thing last year, and I thought it was really fun, and we had a good time with it and stuff. But I think, I've actually, because of this conversation, I've been thinking about exactly that point, which is we had that trouble, right? Like, only me and Dan and maybe a few others actually finished Cyberpunk, right? Mm-hmm. Pathless was another. I mean, there are plenty of examples where people didn't play. And then we have other people at our site that are really like into indie games. They don't play a lot of AAA stuff, right? So it's like, like someone like Nate, who I'll call out, he plays a lot of games on a Switch, a lot of indie games, a lot of deck builders or roguelites. He doesn't play the Cyberpunks. He doesn't play the Gears or, these big games. So it's like, it makes it very challenging. So I think we're probably going to rethink it this year for that reason, where we do maybe like Game Informer does. They've always done, where they have their personal lists. It's like this editor, here's their list. And then they kind of compare, across all. And I think that's a good way to do it too. We kind of did that, but we'll mess around with it. But
even then, if you're creating your own list, though, it's just limited to the games you actually play.
Of course.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. And if you didn't play any of like the big games that everybody else are talking about, then it's hard to.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so this is the 10 best games that like you had time for. You know what I mean? Like, that's sort of like the 10 best games you chose to play.
We should do like a weird, like Blockbuster used to do it, or like one of the old movie
Blockbuster.
Or like the old movie.
Let's follow their model.
No, listen to me. Like the old family, store where you go buy the VHS, like this, or from Seinfeld, like. These are Steven's picks. It's like, this is Jake's, and this is Sally's. And then,
that's actually not a bad idea. I kind of
and then you can basically say, okay, this is why I picked this game, and just have like a short little write up, and and then from everybody at the thing, and we can still do, like a award show or whatever, but I think it's just so varied, like you guys said. It's just all over the place.
Yeah,
and it really does. It just depends on what you played, and that's all there is to it.
I did see someone in the comments saying like Game of the Year awards are pointless, and I actually do disagree with that. I think that it's super important to. I think it's important to recognize achievement in the industry, especially an industry as young as the games industry. Like, we're making massive advancements every single year in this industry that, like, the movies industry, a lot of people think that that's been stagnant for a while because it's existed for like 100 years, right? But like the video games industry is so youthful by comparison, and people are pushing the limits. And I think like rewarding achievement and like recognizing it and showing how the community is evolving, I think is hugely important to continuing to push the envelope. And I think we should always aspire to have some sort of award show or award shows or something like that. It's just more, the process is tricky. And I think really the only solution is just to admit that it's all subjective. And, you know, people sometimes get upset at award shows way more than they should, considering what it is, right? It's just some people telling you their opinion. And yeah, of course there's some validity to it, but there's also some games that get missed. It does not mean that the game of the year was objectively the best game that year. Metacritic does not determine what the best game is that year, etc. And I just think like you kind of have to just come to, I struggle with this as a guy who's just like, I mean, you guys have talked to me, you know, my personality. I'm like very particular about stuff like that. I think the only way you can survive is just by accepting it. You just have to accept it for what it is. You just have to go, it's a subjective thing. It's more about recognition and achievement, but of course it has problems and it will never be perfect. You can't create a formula to solve it, because if you could, I would have already done it. Trust me.
And to further your point, it's because the industry's young, because these award shows are young, they're still learning too. The process is continually changing on how we evaluate these things. So yeah, agree completely. This is a great comment by Mark here. That's because people on the internet can't be trusted, hence Bodie McBoatface. You guys remember
Honestly, that restored my confidence in the internet. I got Bodie McBoatface.
It was English, I think. English unveiled a new boat, Dan, and they basically allowed the internet to name the boat, and people got together, and the name they came up with was Bodie McBoatface.
Perfect. That's perfect.
And it won.
It
won. It won. Now there's now an official vessel named Bodie McBoatface.
It's okay.
Let me get the super chat from Mo.
Yeah, good morning, boys. Thanks, Mo. $4.99 super chat. Good morning, boys. Cheers to everyone watching. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, brother. And Mo was playing Guardians of the Galaxy last night too.
It was awesome.
Enjoy, my friend. Enjoy.
Yeah. Good morning, Tainted Brain. Matt, good morning, brother. Hope breakfast is going well. Tainted Brain says, it makes sense to have reviewers' picks. People find a reviewer that seems to like similar games. That's more helpful. Yeah, exactly. And
makes sense.
And we do, I think at SG, one of the benefits we have of not having to review every game, being a smaller outlet, right? And we allow people to pick games they want to review because it just makes more sense. Like I'm reviewing Halo because I can speak to Halo. I'm not going to have Dan review Halo. You know,
bad idea.
Like to Halo? I don't know.
Stop it. We like a deck building game comes out, Nate reviews it, right? Because he plays a ton of deck building games. So it just makes sense because they have more context as to what is good in that genre and what, they're kind of looking for. So
I'm okay with the staff picks list, but I do think there should be a separate list of all the games you played that year so that they can see which ones you didn't. You know what I mean?
That's probably fair.
That almost makes more sense. It's like, all right, show me all the games you played and then tell me your top 10. Because if you didn't play, Deathloop or Returnal or any of the big games, then I'll be like, all right, well, that makes sense why the list contains the 10 that you chose. So.
Yeah. Another super chat. Cerebral Paul in the house.
Yeah, man. $5. I just got here, but Dan has likely been wrong. That's probably true. Back to Forza. Good morning.
Good morning, Paul. We were playing with Paul. So Paul works with Xbox on the accessibility front. Obviously, his name, he has cerebral palsy, and he actually helped work on different games that basically helped them, on the accessibility. And from what he was telling us yesterday, I was in a chat with him, is that the accessibility options in Forza 5 are so good, actually, that not only can he play it, but it's made him very competitive when he's racing online, which I think is awesome. Yeah. So I've seen other people. I think Steve Saylor, who's the blind gamer who gets a lot of, he's very well known and works with Xbox as well. I know he was saying Forza is the first game he could complete in the series, Horizon 5. So a lot of good shout outs to accessibility front on Forza Horizon 5 as well, which is awesome. Travis asking for gaming credentials. I had a funny side conversation about that. Yeah, it's funny.
I'm not asking for gaming credentials. I just want to know what was on the menu when you chose the food that you chose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Here's the question I want to throw to you guys. So we know that's coming late in the year. There's one major game left to release, right? Well, Battlefield's coming next week, which is multiplayer only, but we know Halo's coming. December. If I recall, because of delays, I think it's the only AAA coming. Stop it. Well, that's up to you. You can say whatever you want, but do you guys think Halo will be in this running somewhere? What do you think
No.
Halo from an open critic / Metacritic rating is going to be? And I will remind you of history here. The lowest rated Halo game on the critic score, the lowest rated one is Halo 5 of the main Halos, Halo 5, and it's an 84. All other Halos, I think 3, 2, the classics, they're above 90. And I think Halo 4 was like an 87, 88, high 80s. So where do you think?
Lowest? 84.
84 for Halo 5.
Really?
Where do you think Infinite is going to land?
$1. No.
What do you think?
I would say, I mean, it's hard for me to tell. I mean, if it comes out and it's not like a buggy mess,
I think that kind of goes without saying, Dan.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's kind of hard to if it comes out and it's just it's a really good game, and it's I'd say 90, 91 probably would be my guess.
Okay.
I mean, for sure. I mean, it's now. Are you? Is it multiplayer? Is it the whole package? Or are we
you're getting to what I was going to bring up.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be really tricky. I think.
Yes.
I think because multiplayer is a free app that you can get, and you'll probably have access to it at a different time than the campaign. People are going to review that separately from the $60 game that is a campaign.
And we'll probably do that too. We're actually doing that for Vanguard. But if you traditionally look at the Halo reviews, they've been a total package. But to your point, this is releasing differently.
Metacritic will not accept 2 reviews for Halo.
Yeah,
they're not going to have a list.
Which means realistically that. I mean, our score obviously isn't big in the weighting, but I mean, the major sites, if they do campaign reviews, that's what we're talking about, right? I mean, that's what's going to be reviewed. So,
yep.
Yeah. I in my head, I have 88. That's where I think it's going to land.
I have 80s as well. I think that even if it succeeds at all the stuff that it wants to succeed at, Halo is not for everyone in pretty much all the ways. Like, it's ultra competitive arena sandbox. A lot of people just don't like that. Like, it's just not. It's also not what's like popular or like in faux these days. Like, right? Like, it's not. It's not a battle royale. It's not. It doesn't have like crazy looting mechanics and all the stuff that other games have. And so I think there's going to be a certain segment of the reviewing population who looks at Halo and go, "This game feels old," and it feels like it's not, modernized enough. And it's not Halo. I'm not saying that if Halo is like a victim here. There's plenty of games like that. The JRPG genre gets destroyed for people who don't like the fact that they, for example, won't add like organic save points. You have to find like static save points in Persona. I criticize the game for that. I hate that mechanic. So there's just things about certain genres that I think a lot of people just don't vibe with. And because this is all subjective, they're allowed to have an opinion. They're allowed to slap a score on it, and that's going to lower the overall score. So I think because of the way the multiplayer is, it's not for everyone. And then also there are so many strong opinions about stories in Halo.
That's what I was going to say.
Science fictions have a really high threshold for people liking the story. They just do, because lots of the population isn't into science fiction. It's a military game. A lot of people really recoil at military shooters or things that glorify military. All this stuff that just like, there's going to be some weird opinions out there, right? And there's going to be some people that don't like that it's an open world game because it's not my Halo, right? They're going to look back at the old days and say that was the Halo I wanted. They should have done just a straightforward campaign. There's going to be people who say that the story doesn't land, that they think that the game's narrative is still paying for the sins of Halo 5. You name it. Like, there's going to be so many things out there. So I think even if the campaign is awesome and the multiplayer is awesome, it's not going to be for everyone, just for all those reasons. And I don't think it could get a 90. I don't think it's even in the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I am almost entirely with you. And I was just going to add that, on the story front too, the unique thing about Halo is that it's so deep now, and they're so deep into the story with characters that unless you're someone like us or, some of the people in chat here that really kind of dig the characters and know the history and at least know kind of what's going on in that world, someone who just picks it up and plays it, they're not going to have that emotional connection that we're going to have to Chief or to Cortana or to anything else going on in the world. And that would be a little different, I would say, than a lot of games who get applauded for their narrative or for their character development. It's just not going to land the same way, to your point. So, yeah, I sadly, I just don't think we're in a world anymore where a Halo game gets an over a 90 in Metacritic.
Really?
I really don't. I'd love to see it. I mean, no one would love to see it more than me, but I just don't see it happening.
I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, even regardless of, you talk about the lore and stuff and how much, I mean, it's really up to 343 to, I guess, bridge that gap, like
Sure.
They need to make sure that, new players and old players alike, at least have some kind of way to, I don't know. I think they can do it. I mean, it's all going to come down to, like, does this engine work really well? What does it look like? What is, can they capture that feeling that people have had, and not just for Halo games, just for pretty much any game. So I think they can do it. I think they can pull it off. They've had time, and it looks like, from all the initial, at least multiplayer reviews, it looks amazing. So
Multiplayer is stellar. Absolutely stellar. So
and that's a huge part.
Yeah, we've talked ad nauseum about that. But to your point, they have had time. And we're seeing the marketing ramp up, right? Halo does a very good job with these kind of side stories in the universe and kind of just doing unique things with the game and the lore there. And the 2 videos that came out this week talking of Halo Master Chief's shield generator and also the grapple shot are just really, really well done. I don't know if everyone's watched those, but you should. They're only like a few minutes each, but they're really, really good. And I think if they land this properly, I mean, Halo 4 had an amazing story. Halo 5, we've talked about that. We don't have to cover all this again, but I think it could. I just don't see it happening. Do I want it to happen? Of course. I really do. So we'll see. We'll see.
Everyone wants games to be good.
Yeah, of course.
Their scores I don't really care about so much, like me personally, but the game I really want it to be good, and I think if it can be personally for me a 9 or a 10 on the IGN scale, or a historic on the season gaming scale, then I'll be happy.
Yeah, I'm reviewing it. We're gonna see, because I'm gonna be. It's funny because I adore Halo, right? That goes without saying. We talk about it all the time, but I was pretty critical of Halo 5's campaign. So it's going to be a really interesting thing for me to see what they've done here, because everyone's like, oh, Ain's just going to give it a 10. It's like, absolutely, I am not. Because I'm probably more critical than other people who may not be as connected to the story are. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Super chat from Pampa.
Sorry. Pampa, $5 super chat. Good morning, gents. Just want to say that this Forza is the best because it's set in Mexico, not biased. Lol. Hit that like button. Saludos. So
thanks, man. Sir. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
And it is the best. Mexico's a great setting for the game, for sure.
Yeah, it should have been Puerto Rico. Just throwing it out there. You could have done the whole island. You could have literally raced around Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
It'd take like, 3 or 4 hours, but you know what? That'd be an awesome race.
In all seriousness, I don't think it's as diverse as Mexico, right? Because they've kind of pulled all these. Yeah.
Yeah. Plus the hurricane hit it. You probably get a lot of trash around. It's bad, man.
The sandstorms are really cool. I kind of wish that there was like, I know I made a Sharknado reference earlier, but I kind of do wish that there were like disaster events, like a tornado that could just like throw you off the map or something,
or throw you across the Gulf.
At least for a showcase. Yeah. Like, wouldn't it be cool if you were getting chased by a tornado in a showcase? That was the objective: outrun a tornado or something like that.
That could be the DLC.
There you go.
Hire me to play grunt games.
All right.
I have so many ideas.
I know where all the boards are.
The boards are. And I've watched many Fast and Furious films. So if you ever need that second expansion,
they just threw it in the shredder. Your resume. Mm-hmm. All right. So Call of Duty Vanguard, probably the best-selling game of the year, as we always say. It's out.
I'm gonna check. Actually, I'm gonna look.
It's here. So let me back up. Outlets got review keys very late. In fact, Jez over at Windows Central posted that they didn't even get a key because I think they were critical in their preview of the game. And so it seemed very weird. When the game launched, it had only 17 reviews on OpenCritic. And, there were a lot of reviews, people still trying to review. We got our key late. We literally got our key the day the game launched. And so Steve actually did a bang-up job, played through the entire campaign that night and wrote the review overnight. So our review of the campaign is live. He actually said it's short, but it's quite good. I mean, no one expects long campaigns out of Call of Duty nowadays. I think he said it was 5 to 6 hours, but he said it was quite good. He gave it an 8, actually. He didn't expect it to be as good as it was. So that's good.
It looks like it is the best-selling game this year already.
I mean, it will be, right? It will be.
I want to comment on it.
It looks like it is. We don't have official numbers until the end of this month, but it looks like it is. Just based on pre-order numbers alone, it already was like ahead of the game in terms of sales. Yeah. So yeah.
Let me say something. The fact that Jez says they didn't get they didn't even get a code. All right, the pettiness needs to stop with this garbage. Like if you, as a developer, I love you and you give us all the great joys that we have. But if you want to be petty and you are not confident in your game and you want to give these review codes out a day before the embargo lifts or whatever it is, and these games are 20 to 30 hours long, there should be an asterisk and every score that you put out there, because it's one, you never know how many people are going to, or how long these people are going to invest in it. And then two, that's just shady as hell. And if somebody's critical of your game, that's even worse. If you're going to come out here and say, I gave this game a 6, you gave our last game a 6. Sorry, you don't get a code. I mean, I'm sure it happens. They want the best reception, and it's all marketing and stuff like that. But you know what? Kiss my butt. I hate that garbage. Can't stand it.
No, it's frustrating, and there's a twofold conversation there, because and obviously, Travis will be familiar with this too, but there's that conversation, Dan, and then there's the fact that once review codes are given out and new games release, especially big games like Call of Duty Vanguard, there's a race for clicks, and the race for clicks dictates that you want to get your review out there because there's not many other reviews out there, and so yours is going to get looked at, and that's where I think sites like some big sites do a better job of this than others, but I can tell you, having done this more closely this year in particular, and I keep going on this rant, so I apologize that this will be the last time I do it on Bitcast, but I am so exhausted of seeing outlets publish reviews without actually putting time into the games properly. It's exhausting, especially for people like myself and others. I know Travis, we talked about Riders Republic. Travis put crazy time into that game to do his review for IGN. And I actually called you out in another group, Travis, as kind of having my respect for that matter, because those types of games aren't easy to review. There's a lot to them. And it took us, I spent near over 80 hours in less than 2 weeks reviewing Riders Republic and Forza Horizon 5. And it's not my job. I don't sleep much. So the fact that I can see some outlets, I know because they're on my friends list in the game, being like a rank 25 in Forza and publishing a review for it is just asinine to me. And it's exhausting. And I really wish people who are listening to this take a closer look at the people reviewing these games. Because when I see someone say, hey, great review, this person, and I know they didn't play it for more than 10 hours, it drives me up a wall. Absolutely drives me up a wall.
A lot of people are saying it's probably a publisher thing. And I apologize. It's publishers. Probably.
It is publishers. There's also lots of reasons to give codes when you give them. Like sometimes the build just isn't ready, because if they're doing the reviews on like Xbox, for example, you have to go through like Microsoft certification, which takes weeks. And there's like, I think there's more to it than just saying like, oh, they're being shady. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes they're being shady. Sometimes they're being shady, especially the thing I will say that I 100% am like, oh, they're being shady, is when they deny certain outlets review copies and then give them to other outlets. If they're doing that just because they have like a vendetta against an outlet, that makes me like really suspicious. But there are a lot of legitimate reasons to only give review copies the day before. Sometimes you're pushed up against deadlines. Sometimes it takes a super long time to get certification. If you're doing crossplay, that's a nightmare for testing. Like there's lots of legitimate reasons, so I wouldn't jump to that. I definitely wouldn't blame the publisher or the developer.
Right.
Definitely be a publisher decision, but there are lots of legitimate reasons to do it. I think the key is as long as they do it across the board. If they're giving everybody codes at the same time, or just deciding that they're not going to give codes, which Bethesda's done in the past because they saw that reviews hurt their games and that their games were more popular without them. The original Doom game didn't review well, and then since then it's been like a really beloved game. So they were just like, maybe we're just not going to do reviews for a while, which ended up biting them in the butt. But they had a legitimate the reason, and they did it across the board. So I think that's totally fine.
Are they worried about like sales, like where like you let's say you get like a week, they put out, the publisher, whoever it is, gives the reviews a week ahead of time, as opposed to somebody that gives it a day or so before. Are they worried about those pre-order sales a lot? Or
I think people who give the code in advance and say, yeah, you can publish your review a week before the game comes out, they're doing it strategically to try to drum up excitement about the game, and get people like ready to play it, right? But sometimes if you give a code to people the day before, then the reviews are trickling out while the game's live. So you not only have the reviews coming out and giving you PR, but you also have like streamers and influencers and people playing the game live. So it can just be a strategic decision. I do think that it slightly hurts the consumer if they don't get to know someone's opinion about the game who didn't make it before it is being sold. But unfortunately, that's just a huge industry-wide problem across the board. Now you have situations like Xbox saying that Forza isn't out right now when millions of people are playing it. That's like unacceptable to me. Like they're selling the game to people. They should just say that the game is out, right? It's not early access, it's regular access, and then late access is basically what's happening because they're already selling the game to you, right? You have that. You have people that make games that are early access first, like the games that are betas, like Grounded. You can buy Grounded, but it's not a finished product. And there's lots of examples of games like that. So do you review it when they sell it, or do you wait till down the road when it's completed and review it? And I've seen people get mad, like, why is IGN reviewing this game that isn't even a completed product yet? It's still early access. And my answer is always, they're selling the game. Like, if they're asking you for $30 for the game, you should be able to see a review from a peer that says, I think it's worth the money, or I think it's not, don't buy this game. So I think that's an industry-wide problem. But again, there's legitimate reasons. I think it's all intent and how they do it. If they do it across the board, if they're giving IGN a copy of the game 3 weeks ago and then they're giving it you the day before because your last Call of Duty review is negative, that's messed up. They shouldn't be doing that. But it's
you can never prove that, or you can never,
But you can. IGN recently got denied a copy of that Jurassic Park World 2 game.
Evolution.
Our Evolution, because of our last review of it was negative, and every other major outlet got it, and we were just like, all right, so like obviously like you guys are just still butthurt about the original review. But either way, like no one's entitled to a free copy of a game. I think sometimes people get upset about that. No one is entitled to it, but there is a sort of, there can be a thing where you're sort of maybe trying to deny the consumer information, and that's sort of part of the marketing team's job, the PR team's job. But there's a way to do it that makes it seem like you're saying, hey, we're not afraid of people's opinion, and there's a way to do it that makes you feel like you've got something to hide. Because if I were making the sequel to the Jurassic Park Evolution game, I would probably just want to address the criticism in the first review rather than not give that outlet a copy. Right? Like, why is that your solution to the problem? Oh, we just won't give them a code. Problem solved. Now we don't have to address all the things that outlet didn't like. You know
until they get their own copy. And
which makes no sense at all, because especially in IGN's case, because if you're confident in your game, right, and you should be in the sequel and hope it's going to do better, and IGN's the #1 gaming outlet in the world, think of what you're denying. Like,
exactly.
It makes no sense.
And then the IGN review is going to hit. And if your game is bad and the review hits with like a negative score, then all you've done is given like a ton of press to IGN for their negative review of your game. It really doesn't make any sense, like in a lot of different ways. But it's how they want to do it. It's their game, their right to it. We're going to play it anyway, right? We're going to buy the game at full price if we don't get a review copy, and then write our review no matter what. It's just going to be a little late. So
it's just a lack of transparency is what we're talking about.
To answer your question, though, does anyone in here really care about Vanguard? No.
This is probably not the right group for it.
We're not a Call of Duty
for a
while.
Absolutely
I will say this. I play
great.
all of the Call of Duty campaigns. I do. I beat them all. Usually a couple months after the game comes out.
I've heard this one's good, like I said.
Yeah,
Steve said it was good. I trust Steve.
I trust Steve, especially considering he went in not expecting much. not with a bias or anything, because he plays them all as well. That's why he volunteered to review it. But he just, we know the development cycle of this game. There's been some kind of turmoil with Treyarch and Sledgehammer and Activision and stuff over the past few years. So we just didn't know how this was going to turn out. But from what I'm hearing, it turned out pretty good. Now, nice. I've heard the zombies mode is an absolute disaster. I've seen that all over the place.
Really?
Yeah, like broken disaster. But as far as the campaign, people have said it's pretty good. So a bunch of faces in the house. What's up, guys? Asa, good to see you, brother. Pixel Slappa, a few others. Sorry. Good to see you guys. But yeah, so not much else to say on Call of Duty for that Vanguard. But if anyone's enjoying it, let us know. We'll certainly call it out over the next few weeks.
Bet you that gets nominated for Game of the Year. Will it? Will it get nominated? Do Call of Duty games get nominated? No. You don't think so?
No,
absolutely not.
No.
When was the last Call of Duty game that got nominated for Game of the Year? Because I know it's won before. When was the last nomination? Do we know that? Like on the main game awards?
I would have to think it was either Modern Warfare 1 or 2 or Black Ops 1.
Oh no, it's way more recent than that. It's got to be. I'm gonna look.
Maybe Infinite War.
No, Infinite Warfare wasn't well received.
I think it was Advanced Warfare, the one with Kevin Spacey. That one, I think, got
that was Black Ops
before Kevin Spacey was blacklisted.
Before he got the F to pay respects game, I believe, was that one.
All right, you can look it up, but we're moving on because we got more important things to talk about, like Elden Ring, my boys.
Also, don't care.
No, Dan.
Actually, I am in. I'm not in, but I requested an in for the beta or whatever the hell it is.
Okay, they started sending them out. I know, like me, Bad Bit, right, Joe, Miles, who are all like super, super big into these games. None of us have gotten an invite yet, so I'm hoping. We'll see. But we did get the Elden Ring gameplay preview this week. It's about 10 minutes or so, of 10, 15 minutes of going through the world. They showed a few different things. They showed some boss fights. They showed some co-op. They showed some casting. I could rant about this for a while. It is absolutely incredible. So if you're into the Souls games and really enjoyed kind of Souls and Sekiro in particular, this looks to take everything from those games, as we were hoping it would, and take it to the next level. So you've got this gigantic world. You've got much more traversal options, right, between the horse and jumping and things like that, which sounds kind of trivial. Like, you could not jump in the Souls games. I think some people forget that. You can run and jump, but it's not like a normal game jump. But there looks to be all kinds of builds. There's 4-player co-op, and it looks just spectacular. And it looks like as usual, there's going to be a lot of lore to these games, a lot of depth, a lot of different ways to play it, new game plus, different builds and stuff. So, Dan, I will ask you, did you watch it?
The gameplay? Yeah. Here's the thing with this one. This one interests me. Actually, all the Souls games have really kind of interested me but I've never just been either patient enough or good enough to actually play them and enjoy myself, because I've always wanted to know the story and the lore. It seems like maybe it has that, but then I hear really the story isn't that great. It's more of the challenge of playing the games, and this is just, from what people have told me. But this one with George R. Martin, whatever his name is, this one has me really interested, because it should be by, if Game of Thrones is anything to, rest your hat on it, it should be good. So I'm really kind of interested in just like clamping down and, strapping in and seeing if I can get into a game like this. Because, I mean, it's always right there on the cusp for me. It's always like, yeah, this is too much, right? Or it's just, it's right there. I always teeter. So I usually just say the hell with it and, don't waste my time. I'll just go back and play something that I've played 15 times. And, I've got all the games, which is crazy to me. Like, I always think that they're, except for like Sekiro, but that's it. I really, really am interested in this one. I just don't know, again, if I'm going to be able to play it. It sucks because that's a purchase, I got to go and buy this.
Yeah.
Gosh, Game Pass. This game needs to come to Game Pass. This would be like the perfect Game Pass game for me. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. As we were talking, actually, it just came out. Yeah, literally an hour ago, all the specs. So PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, going to support 4K, 60 frames, HDR, and ray tracing.
All at the same time?
So no, let me finish.
Oh, I was gonna say, man.
60 FPS. It's pretty much what you expect. 60 FPS on PS5 and Xbox Series X will be in performance mode. There's going to be 2 modes. I would presume that 4K 30 with ray tracing on those consoles. Looks like PC is going to be 4K 60 FPS HDR and ray tracing. Probably if you have hardware strong enough to run it, you can probably do the 60 FPS and ray tracing. I do know they typically on like Souls 3, if I recall correctly, playing on PC, they don't really have an unlocked frame rate. So even if you have like a super powerful PC, you're still going to be at 60, which we'll see how that goes over. But kind of hilarious to see Xbox One 900p 30 FPS. It's like, oof, like don't know who's still playing on those in 2022, but yeah. It's rough.
I thought it was Dan earlier this week.
I was playing at 15. When do you guys think we're going to start hitting that full potential for these consoles? Because I want a 4K 60 game. 4K.
I think Forza Horizon 5 does.
Right. I mean, yeah. Okay, so a game like that. I'm talking like a regular, not a racing.
It's just a car game. I forgot.
He just did it. Just a car game.
Because you've already seen that from like Dirt 5, right? That's already been out there.
No,
not even close.
No,
it's 4K 60, isn't it, on the Xbox Series?
Yeah, but it's a closed track racer. Though. It's not even close.
Hold on. Calm down, you weirdos. Relax. All I'm saying is that racing games apparently have an easier path to that, it seems like.
But that's the mistake
I was actually
you're making.
shocked. Well, no, I mean, because it looks gorgeous, like in all the assets that they have in there. It's an amazing looking game. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. When do I get to play my single player RPG, ARPG, whatever it is, in 4K 60 with ray tracing? That's what I want to know. I can play it on the Forza. Of course I can. I expect that though.
No, but see, that's
crazy.
Again, that's what we're saying. The mistake you're making is saying it's a racing game.
Yeah, it's not a racing game.
You know what I'm talking about. It's a
no, I know, but I know what you
game.
mean. But you got to understand, building Forza Horizon 5 to be 4K 60 is entirely different than building Dirt 5 to be 4K 60.
I'm sure I 100% agree with you, but it's also apparently different than saying Grand Theft Auto 6 running at 4K 60, with ray tracing. Yeah. Can these consoles do that?
I don't think so. I think ray tracing was oversold, in my opinion. It's just too much of a hardware hit right now to have ray tracing. And in my opinion, ray tracing as it's done right now, because ray tracing is not a end all be all, right? It's not like it has ray tracing or it doesn't, right? There's a lot of variations in it. And I think that it's not worth the performance hit right now where we are. And it's weird because you kind of see that in every generation. It's like you get into a new generation of hardware with consoles and it's like, okay, now they can do ray tracing. And it's like, well, yeah, you can, but you're going to give up so much to do it. It's not really worth it.
Right.
And
so is there ray tracing 4K 60 on Forza Horizon 5?
No.
Okay, so
doesn't have ray tracing.
No, ray tracing is only in Forza Vista mode. And Gran Turismo 7 said the same thing. Ray tracing is only in photo mode.
Oh, okay. So there's no ray tracing in Forza 5?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
And Forza Vista.
But that doesn't mean that the console potential isn't maxed out. In fact, probably games won't be able to do ray tracing in any large ambitious game like a Forza Horizon, regardless. Just not in the current hardware. I think that, and honestly, I don't really care because for me, I've never cared about like the performance or how many pixels I was able to manage.
No.
If I did, I would probably just play on PC all the day, but I don't want to have to spend 9 hours a week maintaining my PC. Such a needy creature, my gaming PC. But I think we probably have seen some games that have come close, but the cross-gen means that they have to scale it up and down. But some people, I actually take issue with people who say that like the last generation's holding it back. Like you never criticize PC because they allow all of the old PCs to run the same game. It's sort of not really like that, right? Like people develop games to hit certain benchmarks that they want their gamers their audience to be able to achieve, right? And on the Series X, I feel like they have a pretty high threshold. Now we're going to start seeing games that are next gen exclusive, but that doesn't mean that they're inherently more advanced than games that are cross generation. And I think the lines are going to get blurred even more when you have xCloud improving games on the Xbox One and making those look better, and that whole then there's going to be, you know, Stadia. Stadia looks and performs better on a lot of games, and there is no console. So I just think the lines are so blurred now that probably doesn't matter. Is my thinking.
Yeah, and Ace is making some good points in the chat here.
Yeah. I have no idea what Ace is saying, but it's probably right.
I'm just guessing.
Knowing Ace.
Yeah, Forza Horizon 5 is amazing, but stuff can still get better. And I think, you know, as we see these gen games, it's going to be interesting, for instance, to see what Starfield does, because it's the first new engine for Bethesda. It's series consoles and PC only. Stuff like that is coming. But, you know, you look at something like Horizon 5, you look at something like Gears 5. And the fact of what they've done in the new consoles, you know, even being originally built on Xbox One is pretty incredible. So there's better stuff to come. I just think I think the ray tracing conversation, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of hearing ray tracing.
You and me both. I just want to know. I mean, that's not even that important. Like the 4K 60 stuff is where I think is a good spot for me, because I mean, really the Xbox One X did 4K 30, right? And this is supposed to be exponentially more powerful. These new consoles, both of them, and I don't know. I thought I'd see it more than, you know, like the 1080, 1440, whatever it is. You know,
the last generation too, though, right? Like everybody thought last generation we were going to see more games like at 60 FPS, and it didn't really happen until kind of the end of the generation once they had hardware refreshes. Right. So I kind of, I feel like it's not the consoles that are holding developers back. It's the fact that developers want people to be able to buy their game, and that you can't buy the game if the barrier is you have to have a Series X, you have to have a PS5, or you have to have a PC that costs $3,000. So it's just never going to, that's never going to sell. So it's not the old consoles holding it back. It's the same thing that has always held the industry back, which is that ambitious ideas require normal people to be able to actually play them. And so far, that barrier of entry is based on your hardware that you have in your house, but that won't always be the case. You know, there's going to be cloud streaming that's going to change that landscape, and when that happens, that means that that developers can afford to be more ambitious while not alienating a huge portion of their audience. Yeah,
and the other thing too is, you know, we don't have to stay on this. I don't even know how we were talking about Elden Ring and we got onto this conversation.
It all started with those puddles in Spider-Man. Remember that? That's how the whole ray tracing debate started. Everybody's been talking about ray tracing ever since those damn puddles.
Yeah, the other thing I always stress too is it just wears on me a little bit when I always hear 4K 60 as the pinnacle, because 4K display is not the same as 4K game, right? Like there's plenty of games that we play in 4K that are either up-resed or whatever, and that's fine too. But then there's a whole bunch of other factors. You know, we always hear about texture resolution and things of that nature. And it's like, you know, like Red Dead 2 is a perfect example. Beautiful game on the 1X still, which is amazing. And it's technically a native 4K on the 1X, but the textures are not 4K. So if you compare a 4K Red Dead on a high-end PC versus a 4K Red Dead on 1X, even though they're both running native 4K, they don't look the same. So there's just a lot more that goes into it than just saying it's X. Yeah. You can't put a blanket statement across these things.
Also, you have some games that are running at 120 frames per second on the
Your mic went static again, dude.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Can you not hear me? Or
no, I can hear you. It's just really staticky. So sorry, guys.
Oh, good.
But to your point, yes. So I'll take us back to Elden Ring real quick. So Elden Ring, and I know hopefully you can get your mic fit because I want to hear from you on this, Travis, because I know you know, we've talked about this a lot. But a couple points that did come out about it were co-op details. So it's going to be 4-player co-op, as they said before. But some interesting things that came out about it is that the max you can play in say again.
Better.
Yes, thank you. So the max that you can actually play is 3-player co-op because it reserves a spot for invasions, and the invading character is a you know, real player. The other thing that was weird about this was that they said that single player right now there's no invasions, and so part of the Souls community has kind of gotten up in arms about this because, as you know, invasions are kind of a big part of the game. And
yeah, but there will be a way to do 1v1 PvP through like a covenant or something. I
Maybe.
think I actually think this makes sense. So 4 players has always been way too much for Dark Souls. I actually think 3 might be too much, because if you've ever played 4-player Dark Souls like I have, it's a joke. You just run around and just destroy everything. It's like absolutely like no difficulty anywhere. And on the old Dark Souls games, if you had 4, I believe that meant you really couldn't get invaded because you had all the slots filled up. Or if you could, that person was just doomed to get just walloped on by 4 people. So I think 3 is probably a good start to reducing it. And I also think it gives you a risk reward, because playing solo has always been, it's the more pure way to play the game, but it also it's objectively the like least advantageous way to play it, because if you get more people in there, you can protect against invasions and all that stuff. So now there's a risk reward. Is bringing my buddy in worth the fact that I'm going to be activating invasions? I think that is a really cool kind of like give and take. So I get why people are upset, because it has been part of the series in general. But I think as long as they provide a way for you to intentionally summon an invader and just fight a 1v1 battle with them, I think it might be a good mechanic for balance. Because now there's an incentive to play alone. It's like, all right, well, I don't want to get invaded, so I'll just do a solo run. You know what I mean? I think that's cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of in the minority, I too think, and I agree with kind of your pure comment, even though you know that sounds kind of weird, right? But I don't know. I'm the environments in Souls games and kind of the mysterious nature of them and exploring and kind of figuring things out is one of my favorite parts of those games. And I already told people, like, I want to play this game with friends, but I'm not playing it until I beat it myself with the entire world shut out. I'm not playing in co-op. Like, leave me alone. This is going to be my game. But I think having the option is cool, because like Mo, who's in the chat, he's always wanted to check these games out. But again, they can be a pain in the ass for some people, right? And so we've kind of said, like, a few of us who do play these games have said, or even Dan, too, is like, we can Sherpa you now, like, let us beat the game, let us kind of figure it out and stuff and have our fun with it. And then, jump into co-op and kind of walk you through it and kind of show how cool these games are.
The other thing is turning off invasions was always an option, because you could just play offline.
Of course. Yeah. Shizno, actually. What's up, Shizno? Said that in the chat too.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So that's the thing. You can turn invasions off by just not being online. But now you can't, because invasions are always off if you're playing solo, and if you're playing with a friend, we know you're online, so that means it's time to get invaded. So I like I said, I understand the concerns, but I think that this is a good move for balancing the game. Like, now you have to consider, is it worth bringing a friend in, rather than why aren't you bringing a friend in, because we can just destroy this boss if I have my buddy with me.
It's almost like summons. It's like friend summons. So
exactly, friend summons versus it's a risk reward. Like, and I hope that because another thing people will do is they'll play solo, but then when they get to a boss, they'll do summons, because there's no reason to not have like a whole bunch of people in a boss room. So I hope that they will let people invade during boss fights if you have summons with you, because
that would be pretty wild.
Cheap. It's cheap, man, to like all these guys, because I'll watch it. I played Demon Souls, and I was just watching people group up and get through the boss, and I was determined to do it myself. Like, all right, I'm going to beat this alone, and I don't get anything for that. So they should at least risk getting invaded if they're going to be summoning for boss fights. That's like,
everyone wanted their easy mode. Now you have it. See, you got it. Right. I can't wait to play this along with Mo. Jordan, we're going to be like. We're going to be like in the upper world on the map, exploring by the tree. And you'd be like, all right, let's head this way, guys. And Mo's going to be like, hey, guys, I just went into some place called the Catacombs. I don't know where you guys are. And we're going to be like, here we go. Here we go.
So Leroy Jenkins it, man. It's all right.
Oh, man. But yeah, I mean, it looks amazing. It looks amazing.
It really does. That was a great trailer, just for so many reasons. I love that they finally added a map. I feel like that's something they've always been afraid to do, because they thought it might ruin exploration or whatever. But with the open world format, I guess that's the new thing. I love that you can put beacons in the air. That's so
and
cool.
The map looks so cool, like the whole artistic direction in the game, and the fact that they give you 100 emblems, to your point, right? And so like if you come across a boss in the open world and you're like, all right, I'm not taking this dude on yet, you can put your little marker there and say, okay, there's a boss there. And yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah,
so excited. How this game and Horizon Forbidden West are coming out a week apart, I don't know. I don't know who did that.
Or
to
how
my
about
life.
three days apart from Destiny
And Destiny.
Yeah.
So whoever hates me and us, I don't know. I don't know what we did to you. I'm sorry, but
you know what, Ains? It'll get delayed. Something will get delayed. If not Elden Ring, something around Elden Ring, Horizon will get pushed.
I don't think those three are getting any of those are getting delayed.
Horizon, Destiny, and Elden Ring.
I think they're all coming out.
I think.
I just ordered the collector's edition of Elden Ring. I guarantee.
I think Elden Ring gets pushed a couple weeks.
Nah.
I could see something getting pushed. I don't think it'll be Destiny because that game has already been delayed like a year. But I could see. I don't know, man.
All right, we'll see. We'll see.
Because remember we had this problem. Actually, I don't think I knew you last year, but we had this exact problem last year during Halo Infinite. I was like, how the heck am I going to play all these games? Because like Beyond Light was coming out, and then Halo Infinite was coming out, and then Halo Infinite got delayed. And I was like, it all worked out. The universe is benevolent. It knows. So, and now it's coming out in December when I will have plenty of time to play it because, like I said, I have no loved ones. So,
speaking of Halo Infinite,
Halo.
IGN has the first coverage of November, which is cool. Ryan McCaffrey did and Miranda did a comment on some of the multiplayer they played. We've got a overlook of new multiplayer map, and we've got a first look now at the first battle pass, which is Heroes of Reach, which looks fantastic because you can technically make your Spartan look like any one of the Reach Spartans, or individually piece things together, however you want to do. The flaming helmets coming back. They've got all kinds of cool stuff in there. So, I mean, this looks really, really cool. They also did mention briefly, it was like 2 sentences, that both Miranda and Ryan have played 4 hours of the campaign. And I believe the comment from Ryan was that it was just as good and addicting as the multiplayer, which is a bold statement. So that was very positive as well. So we don't have to stay on Halo long because we're going to be talking Halo like crazy in the coming weeks. And we already have. So, but it just, continues to look like a really good launch. I think there's some really good things planned here. And I have officially spent about $47,000 on Halo merch already. So what we were actually Halo merch,
$47,000 everything.
No, that was a joke. But
I that was so specific. I was like, oh my god, like he bought like a warthog or something. Like
no. You're lucky there's not a warthog you can buy, or I'm lucky.
It would be in his garage. Yeah,
you are lucky that there's no warthog you can buy.
But we were actually.
If you get those Rockstar tabs, I'm entered, man. I got. I know. I saw you found some in your Hicksville.
Finally, dude, it was an 18th stop, like 18th place I've gone to looking. Anyway, we were talking about. We were joking about if they come out with a Halo chair because they're coming out with Halo everything, right? If they come out with a Halo like chair, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my Cyberpunk chair.
The mouse pad. They did the whole PC.
I've got the mouse and the keyboard coming. I've got
of course.
I've got the Master Chief and Escharum statue coming. I've got
the Elite controller, I assume.
Elite and the Series X coming.
The Series X too. Wow, he splurged, boys. He's
$47,000 probably wasn't that far off. Yeah,
it's pretty close.
Me and Mo in the chat. Me and Mo are just.
And that's 2 years' salary for you, Ains.
Thankfully not. But anyway, so it looks great. I don't know if you guys have any comments here. Dan, has any of this kind of struck a chord with you? Did you watch the 2 kind of videos, the story videos they did this week? Have you checked out any of this coverage?
No, I have the word Halo muted at this point because I want nothing. I want to go in fresh.
Okay.
And I don't want to. I don't want to know anything. I want to just go into that campaign and really be surprised and enjoy it. So I probably won't see many of the reviews or anything like that. I just want, and usually this is what happens. I'll mute something, like Spider-Man or something, when it comes out because you never know when something's going to.
You'll just end up asking me how good it is.
Right. I mean, you're a good barometer, but I mean, I know I'm going to enjoy a nice first person, campaign, and I like.
Is Ains a good barometer for you though? I feel like you don't agree with.
I steer him pretty right. I think
he knows.
You don't agree with. No, he doesn't. I've won the contest last week. I know what you like better than he does.
Old stuff. I mean, if we got more recent stuff, he has a good idea of what I would enjoy and stuff. I know.
But you disagree with him 98% of the time. How can you trust his opinion?
You disagree does not mean that he doesn't know the kind of game I like.
Okay,
Plus, I
understand.
know the kind of game I like, and I'm pretty sure.
I feel like I feel like you're the one guy in the world who looks at Metacritic and cannot find one opinion he agrees with. Like, there's no one out there for you.
That's probably true.
There's someone for everyone, Travis.
The only reviews
I don't know, man. We might have found one.
I only read reviews off of SG's website. That's just because I don't have time.
You must disagree with a lot of the SG reviews.
Sure.
Though.
I mean, I disagree with some of them, but I mean, then I agree with some of them. You know, it's just, but you know, I also don't play as many games, I think, anymore. You know, the fact that I don't know, I just got
still
older.
playing Hitman 3. That pretty much
still playing
tells all
Hitman
you
3,
need to
right?
know.
Yeah, you just said Hitman 3 is your game of the year in 2021,
Right.
so I don't know.
I mean, Halo's not out. It could be Halo. You know, there's a good
yeah.
It could be
Halo doesn't get counted in most game of the year.
By the way,
reviews.
Halo merch has been a joyful and unmitigated disaster. Exactly.
Either
right.
you or Mo get the plates, like the actual. They
no.
Like glassware.
We were sharing pictures of the bed set. Though.
Casual.
Yeah.
There's a bed set. I told my wife because we have a split king now, like an adjustable bed, split king, and I was like, it is split. I could technically put on my own Halo bed set.
Perfect.
And Tainted Brain says, "Are you going to give me the key?" And the hell I am.
Yeah.
No.
I am not. Warthog?
I think he means to review the game, the key to the game. I thought that's what he meant. No.
Maybe it's a Warthog. Don't you? Yeah, your neighbor's got like a little dirt track kind of thing.
Congrats on getting on the review list, by the way, for Halo Infinite.
Thank you very much. That was it was a big deal, especially for me, and it was a moment where I had to sit back for a second and just realize it had actually happened. So I am I am ridiculous.
I guess the check cleared.
With
that. Oh yeah,
if it was that simple, I would have been reviewing them a long time ago.
I forgot to tell you that I have to tell you because you gave Forza Horizon 5 a 10.
Yes.
I have to do the honor of being the first, I guess the check cleared comment for you. So you're welcome. I guess the check cleared. I guess the check cleared. You paid Microsoft shill. Is what I have to say to you, my friend. So,
that's right. That's right.
And also congratulations.
Jill. Yeah, I haven't
my
had that
thoughts on Halo.
Yet. I'm waiting. Yeah, go for
it. It'll come. You gave it 10 to Forza Horizon 5. Yeah, you'll get hit.
Then again, like anyone who does like troll on my reviews or comments or posts or whatever, I never respond to them. I just mute them and move on. It's not worth it.
Really?
So, yeah, I never respond. Not ever.
I read them and laugh and then don't respond either. That's fun.
Yeah, go.
My thoughts on Halo are that I'm under NDA for Halo, so I can't say really anything. But I will say that you can find all of the IGN news about Halo all month on IGN First. We have news every week coming, and that I think fans are going to be really excited about some surprises coming up that are super cool
and super close.
And super close. And that if you read my Twitter, you should look at some of my tweets and put two and two together. But I can't really talk other than that, and except to say that I'm super excited about all the coverage IGN has prepared for this game. And
let me just say that I have to go to California for a family thing that I really
tread carefully.
Don't want to. From the 17th to the 20th, and I'm now even more regretting that trip. Anyway, Travis doesn't know about the Thanksgiving dinner Ains at Spencer's house. Yeah, me and Philly Spence, we cut turkey together. It happens. That's all right. All right. Yeah. Last thing, guys. Last thing. I want to talk about Sega. Because I want to touch on Sega and what they announced this week, which was they announced a strategic alliance, was the way they worded it, with Microsoft to work basically on creating what they call their super game, which is a game that basically is building on the next generation of gaming to be a global kind of cooperative game. I've got the press release right here. So it says, this alliance would form a key part of Sega's mid to long-term strategy, allowing the business to move forward with their super game, a new initiative for developing new and innovative titles where the key focus is our global, online, community, and IP utilization. So it says Microsoft and Sega have agreed upon the foundation for this alliance through mutual cooperation, blah, 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 blah. It says by shifting to a next generation development platform, Sega can effectively adapt to diversifying work styles and potential infrastructure changes. So this is kind of a weird one because you had some people, of course, treating it like Microsoft had just bought Sega, which is not true. And then you had other people saying this doesn't mean anything, which is also not true. As usual, the truth lies probably somewhere in the middle. So this is interesting, if nothing else, because what it sounds like, I mean, Sega has been trying to evolve for a while. And if you know them as a company, especially their arcade business in Japan, they were already doing this kind of unique thing or moving towards this unique thing where people would play arcade games from their house. This was their vision. Play arcade games from their house and be ranked and have tournaments globally among competitors. So like, you used to go to the arcade and you'd have a high score and it would be on the thing and, people would come in and play. What they were trying to do, they announced early this year, was exactly that, but globally and online from people at home. So it sounds like what they're trying to do basically is to team up with Microsoft on Azure, because we've talked about Azure plenty on this show, so that they can build some of their future games.
Is it Azure?
Azure, I call it Azure. Yeah, it's the same thing. But so that they can build some of these future games where people can interact, probably through multiple platforms, not necessarily just Xbox. We don't know, but multiple platforms to play these games and compete globally. But it'll be built on a foundation of Azure. So I think what makes it a little more interesting is that people like Sarah Bond, who is obviously head of kind of gaming partnerships for Xbox, spoke pretty heavily about this, and that she's been talking to Sega and working with them and stuff. So there's definitely something here as it relates to Xbox as well. I think we just don't know what yet. But if nothing else, this is interesting. It should be positive for both Microsoft and Sega, which are two of my favorite gaming companies. And so I'm really interested to see what this does in the future. But could you imagine? I mean, we kind of have that in a lot of games today, but if Sega starts to come out and build this kind of global exercise, and as games start to expand and become more global, bringing some of their IPs, their classic IPs, into a global kind of infrastructure across multiple platforms could be very cool.
I have no idea what this means. None whatsoever. Like the one thing that goes through my head, I'm like, oh man, what would be awesome? Like a Yakuza MMO where like everybody just running around Kamurocho. Like the whole arcade thing. That's I have no idea. I mean, it's just global leaderboards and stuff like that.
That was just a reference for something they talked about earlier. But
I remember that. And they closed down a lot of their arcades because of COVID this year. I know in Japan. So, I mean, it's I don't know. I have no idea what the hell this is going to be. Obviously, it's going to probably be using their servers, their Azure stuff. You tell us, because I have no clue.
Well, and specifically to your point about Yakuza, and then Travis, go ahead. But it does say in their IP utilization. So I mean, you have to think that they're thinking of their big IPs, whether it be Yakuza, whether it be Sonic, whether it be anything else. Sega has a lot of IPs still that are underutilized, and I think they know that they have broad global reach. And Sega just has not been great. Some of their games are very popular, we know, right? But they just have not been great as a company in the past several years, maybe plus, of getting those out to a broader audience. And I think this is what they're looking to, this will help them, I think, complement that. But go ahead, Travis.
So I actually talked to somebody about this yesterday who gave me some information about this. So full disclosure, I have an unnamed Xbox employee who I'm friends with that stays at my place when they are in the Bay Area. And nice. I spent the day with that person yesterday.
Phil Spencer.
We talked about.
Is it Phil Spencer?
Phil Spencer. He needs a couch to sleep on.
He's a normal guy, though. That's what everybody says. He's just a guy. He sleeps on a couch.
He is a normal guy. From what I've seen. He certainly dresses like a normal guy.
He seems like a futon dude.
And he rides Coach, as we can tell from his screenshots of him playing xCloud on his phone.
So does
Destiny.
Kanye, man.
He's also a big Destiny fan.
That he is.
You know what I'm saying? Big Destiny fan. He'll be playing Witch Queen on the 22nd. Let's just put it that way.
I think he'll be playing it before the 22nd.
He's probably already finished it.
Actually, I don't think so. Because Bungie used to do on-site reviews that I was a part of, and they stopped doing it when Activision left. So now all the reviews happen after the servers are live. They don't do any early.
I know, but
so.
I think Phil is beyond the review club.
No, dude, because I know how their servers work. You have to either be in their office or you have to be connected to their live servers, and their live servers don't exist before.
Or you have to be Phil Spencer.
Right. I would be so surprised if that were true. I'm gonna ask him.
Even then,
I'm gonna ask him the next time he's on my couch.
He's got like a futon at Bungie. He's probably just
he's probably got a suite.
He doesn't.
Yeah,
no.
Phil Spencer.
I have been in the Bungie office many times, and let me tell you, he is there's a little bit of there was a little bit of coldness after they had that exclusivity deal with PlayStation for like 6 years. I think they're cool now, but they're definitely not at the point where Phil's like got a couch in their place or whatever.
Maybe it's a storage room. Yeah.
Well, I was going to try to not get us off topic, but the big kind of rumor that's circulating behind the scenes right now is that
no idea.
Okay, that Xbox is looking to secure their next game, Bungie's next game, which is Matter, right? Their code name for it.
Yep.
That's that would be ridiculous. Huge. Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
Matter, like
Matter.
That's the code name. Matter.
That's the code name for it.
Or like I'm madder than hell right now.
No, Matter. Matter.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, but that's Bungie's next big game after Destiny that they're working on, and the rumor circulating behind the scenes is that Xbox is securing that. But that's a whole different conversation. We have no idea of its validity. Moving on.
I didn't even know it existed. So
indeed. Anyway, so this person that I was hanging out with yesterday, let's call that person Phil Spencer, told me just that'll be their code name, Phil Spencer.
It's Shill Spencer.
I pulled that out of a hat. It's Shill Spencer. Stupid. They told me that this is sort of it's sort of what they've been telling us that they're doing with their model, right? Which is that they're trying to build strategic partnerships, build relationships, and then see if it makes sense for acquisition down the road. And you can already see with Sega, there's been a relationship growing. It started with Game Pass and the exclusivity deal with Yakuza, Like a Dragon, where they had the marketing rights and all that. And it's grown now to them helping with their cloud stuff. And each partner in this relationship has something the other side wants. Xbox desperately wants to get into Japan, and Sega desperately wants to improve their performance in the West. And I think that these two companies could help each other a lot. And so they're sort of at the beginning to intermediate stage of a partnership that could become an acquisition. Microsoft is absolutely interested in acquiring more companies in Japan. They already got their first game developer in Japan when they bought Bethesda, and they want to do more. And I think this partnership has made sense so far, and it could continue to make sense. But for people saying like, oh, this is an acquisition, I think that's obviously jumping the gun. We don't know how the relationship is working yet. But just in my talks with an Xbox employee who I trust and seems to be on these things, it seems like obviously that is where Microsoft would like to go if it makes sense.
Sure.
And I think Sega is probably open to it if they're sort of nesting in Microsoft's corner as much as they have been so far. And I think it would be fantastic because Xbox desperately needs like Japanese creatives on their team. And I think Sega would be a good choice.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us have been asking for Sega for a while for obvious reasons. But, one thing just to add here, and thanks for the context, Travis. But one thing to add here that people forget is that Sega is part of Sammy. It's Sega Sammy, and Sammy has the power. Sammy. But I mean, it's a little different. It's not like Sega used to be where they're standalone company. But I do think of I think you're exactly right, Travis, and it would just seem to make sense, right? Is you don't just go in and say we're buying you. Hi, welcome to the team. There's a long tail on how these things occur, and Microsoft obviously, or Xbox, however you want to phrase it, doesn't want to just throw money at them. I mean, Sega has a lot to prove as well, right? So you would want to take care to make sure Sega can follow through on some of these ideas and visions, and they're capable of delivering what they want to deliver before you throw that kind of money around. So it's the fact of the industry, right, or any industry for that matter. But it's interesting, if nothing else. So I wanted to call it out. I obviously, as a Sega stan from many, many years ago, which we've all talked about many times, I wish them the best. And I hope, we see something come of this that's bigger and really kind of brings Sega back to the limelight. So it's cool. Axel, what's up, man? Thanks for stopping by, brother.
I'm good with whatever. I mean,
to your point, Dan, here, I'll sell you on this.
Yeah.
Yakuza and Judgment now get extra development talent and funding.
Done. That's all you got to say.
and presumably, Sammy keeps the rights to all of their IPs for pachinko machines. Yeah. you would assume, since that's what they want to do. Like with that, right?
Altered Beast, Battle Royale, and I've been like, yeah, all right, I'm down with that. I'll try it out and see what happens.
Beast Battle Royale. I think you're onto something there. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. There you go.
And after Microsoft acquires Sega, they get the Yakuza team to work on the game we discussed a couple weeks ago.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean,
say it.
I don't remember what
the American Yakuza,
like Mafia.
No,
Mafia 4.
Come on, guys.
I'm blanking, dude. I'm blanking.
I can't remember the name of the game, but it's the Why am I?
All three of us can't remember a big.
You brought it up.
I
have no idea.
No, it's the rapper.
The Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang?
Yeah, thank you. Wu-Tang Clan RPG.
Yes,
because we already saw that Xbox is apparently working on a Wu-Tang Clan. They get the Yakuza team, their development minds to work on the Wu-Tang Clan game. Because we know it's a new developer, right? That has never made a game before.
Yes, get some help from the Yakuza team. Yes, now I remember.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah, sorry. For some reason, I couldn't. I was trying to make a reference to the actual game title, and I can't remember the game's title. But it had a. Do you remember it? The Wu-Tang game? I can't remember the title. We had a. They have a code name or something for it.
Oh no, I don't. I don't remember it. But
it's like Shaolin something.
No idea.
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm tired.
It's the second thing I've looked at today.
Usually this stuff pops out of my head, but I'm blanking.
Pee my pants. That's all I know.
Back from the dead, Noof. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys. Sorry you're coming in. You're coming in late. We're actually just about to wrap up, but thanks for stopping by. I hope you do catch the show. We had a lot of good conversation today on a bunch of good topics. So while you're looking that up, Travis, I'm going to thank everyone in the chat.
It's just called Shaolin.
Shaolin. Okay. Yeah, it's code name. But thank you guys, man. It was a fun one today. We obviously went a little long, which is fine. A lot of good conversation.
We started late. It's all good.
On reviews. Yeah. Game of the Year conversation, the Sega partnership. And I see, obviously Fat Boy and a few others calling out old IPs for Sega. Of course. I mean, that's where my mind goes right away, of course. So I would hope to see, some rejuvenation there for some old IPs as well. But, just like I said, bringing Sega back to the limelight would be awesome. So
you get that Battletoads team on Altered Beast or whatever.
Altered Beast, man. You go back and play that game now. That game is tough as hell. That's a really hard
All
game.
Those games are tough as hell.
I know.
That Lion King game, I remember the Lion King game was the first game that made me cry. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, it's probably the only game that made me cry. I played that game as a kid. I must have been 6 years old. And it was the first time I'd ever played a game that was so challenging. And I had played the Mega Man games as a kid. And I got to that game and I was like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. But I will tell you, I beat that game as a kid. I beat that game when it was on the SNES.
That's awesome.
Like a G. That was Dark Souls before Dark Souls.
6-year-old G.
6-year-old G.
But thank you guys for hanging out with us today. It's been a fun week. We a couple things to call out. So that discussion I've been talking about for a few weeks with Colin Moriarty is out there now. It came out last week, I believe, on the 30th. So it's part of his $1 Patreon service, but you can find it out there. Our conversational Konami IPs. I did talk to him. I actually may be working with doing something else with him in the future. So we'll see how that goes. Our Riders Republic and Forza Horizon 5 reviews are both out. What'd you end up giving Riders, by the way? What is your final score?
An 8.
Me as well. But I know we talked about it previous. I didn't know if that's where you landed on.
Yeah, I landed on an 8. It made sense. It is a great game.
It's very good. Yeah, it's very good.
It's better than good. I wouldn't quite describe it as amazing because of the server issues and the fact that I don't know if you got to the boss events, but the boss events are not good. They're just long races, and I was like, these should be like showcase events, like in Forza. Like I couldn't get the comparison of Forza out of my head because they so clearly like drew inspiration.
Forza Horizon for extreme sports. I mean, it just is.
Exactly.
Like, I even said that in my review. Yeah. Forza Horizon 5 Riders reviews, and then the Vanguard review of the campaign is out by Steve now. He has been playing multiplayer. He's going to give some impressions on that, and I think zombies this week. So check that out. But yeah, thank you guys so much. It's been a great one. If you're on your way out, please hit that like button if you haven't already, and share it out. We greatly appreciate it as we continue to have these chats. But good conversation, boys. Anything to call out for next week?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
IGN first and my farming simulator preview. That's it.
Farming simulator, baby.
Farming simulator, baby. I put so much time into that preview.
All right, guys. Have a good week. As always, thank you for tuning in. If you're listening later, really appreciate you as well. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.